Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Carver Selectmen's meeting, October 23rd, 2012. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. A couple of quick announcements. There are openings on the following committees: Carver Cultural Council, Commission on Disability, BDC, Finance Committee, Old Colony Regional Vote Tech School Committee, 2 positions, Local Housing Partnership Committee, Recreation Committee, ZBA alternate, Website Committee, 2 positions, and a Growers Representative to the Earth Removal Committee. Please contact the Selectman's office for an application. And also, I'd like to just remind everybody to please dig deep and see if you can come up with some donations to the Carver Food Pantry. And those donations can be made at the Carver Council on Aging on Lakeview Street or the Carver Public Library. And as you can see, if you can see in front of me on the dais up here, we have a bag of groceries that have been collected, and that's a challenge to everybody else out there to try and match this. We're going to have probably a difficult winter. It's going to be cold. Fuel prices are going up. Social Security raises are going to be extremely marginal, so we're going to have a tough winter. Please dig down, be generous. Thank you. Moving into the meat of the agenda, we have a public hearing. Carver Convenience, Inc., DBA Quickies, request for a retail package store wine and malt beverage license and common victualler license located at 60 North Main Street. Good evening, gentlemen. If you could just identify yourself and state your purpose.
Good evening. My name is Joe Devlin. I'm an attorney from the DeMarcus Law Offices in Lynn, Massachusetts, and I represent Carver Convenience, Inc. With me is Suresh Kumar Patel, who is all the officers, the sole director, the 100% shareholder, and the proposed manager of record. And we're here for a new license and a pledge of that license to Rockland Trust, and it's being done in conjunction with the purchase of the business known as Quickies at 60 North Main Street in Carver. And I can summarize the transaction.
Please.
If the board wants me to. The financing of this, the business is $150,000. $120,000 of that is coming from a loan from Rockland Trust. $30,000 of that is coming from bank accounts of Suresh Kumar Patel and his wife. There's also estimated about $35,000 worth of convenience store inventory there. And that's going to be finally calculated at the closing, and it'll be paid for by a note to the seller. For whatever the exact amount is at the time of the closing, because it'll remain open until the ABCC, well, hopefully the town approves it, and then the ABCC approves it as well. There is a lease. The seller is also the owner of the building. My client and the seller have entered into a lease for 7 years at $7,000 a month. My client is personally, or Suresh Kumar Patel is personally guaranteeing the lease, the note to Rockland Trust, the inventory note, and he's also investing $30,000 of his own money. So there's a significant commitment here, which is a great motivator to run things properly and be a hands-on owner. He is an experienced business owner in Massachusetts. He and his wife own a business, the Westgate Mall in Brockton, where they share supervisory duties there. He also is the majority owner of a gas station in New Bedford, but his minority partner, 30% minority partner, runs that business. This is a previously licensed location, as you know, and it's had some troubles there. The public need is the same as established there, which is mainly convenience to the customers. It's a really nice location. I drove by there. It's got 2 exits and entrances onto 58, but also 2 exits and entrances onto Forest Street. Plenty of parking. It's a good opportunity for my client. but he only thinks it's a good opportunity if there's a wine and malt with it. So that's why this deal is actually contingent upon him getting the wine and malt license. He wants to make it very clear to you, and he certainly will answer any questions you have. He lives in Brockton. He's investing a lot in this, and he realizes as a good businessman, that means you gotta be here, which he intends to be on site to protect that investment. And thank you for your time.
Representing the town this evening, we have Chief Mix. Chief, you want to join us?
Just briefly, actually, I can't tell if this is on or not. It's not.
Can you hear him, Peter, back there? You got to speak up a little bit louder so the folks at home can hear you.
Normally, we don't, the police department, ironically enough, does not get too involved with the issuance of liquor licenses. However, this was a little unique situation given the company's past. I've spoken to Mr. Patel and his attorney. I've explained to him the issues we've had in the past. They've assured me that we shouldn't have those issues, and moving forward, I'll meet with Mr. Patel once this deal finalizes to take care of any issues he may have and make sure we can work together to keep another business going in town.
So you didn't find any issues or anything?
No, there's no issues, and remember, it's still gonna go through the state.
Right.
I think at our level, I don't have any problems. I did a cursory check on Mr. Patel. There's no issues. His true query is done at the state level, not here. And as long as he's gonna manage, he would fit the criteria of a manager.
What I'd like to do is open it up for a motion in a second so we can open this for discussion. Can I?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
We have our motion in a second. Now I'll open it up for my colleagues to ask the questions that they have. And Jack, I think Sarah beat you to the mic.
Okay, go ahead, Sarah.
Thank you. So I guess my main question is, because of the past history with this particular business, shouldn't we wait for the state to tell us whether they're going to give a license first? I mean, I really don't know the answer to that.
We have to approve it here, and then the state would approve it, so.
Okay.
This is the first step in the process, so. I mean, you could deny it here, but I really don't see a reason why you do that.
Okay. And I guess the other thing that the public should know, even though the two individuals have the same last name, they're apparently not related.
I'll let Mr. Patel's attorney answer that one.
On top of that, not only do they have the same last name, unfortunately, in this circumstance, they have the same first name. I represent about 200 people with the last name of Patel. This is all I do, is convenience stores, gas stations, restaurants, and it's a very common name in India. It's like Smith. They're all from the same province called Gujarati. And on top of that, when India had a caste system, which was just as recently as 1960, an official caste system, they were in the small business entrepreneurial caste. That's what they did in India, and that's what they do here. I understand. I was looking at the license list. You have another a Rajesh Patel as in town. You know, I represent 3 or 4 Patels in Tewksbury, and then that don't have liquor licenses, but then 3 or 4 others who own gas stations. And not that they're Hindus, so they wouldn't kill each other, but they would certainly battle it tooth and nail for a really good business, you know. So they're not, you know, they're competitors. So, and this is an arm's length transaction. He is not related to Suresh B. Patel, who is the owner, current owner.
Current owner. All right, Jack.
The sale of the business, I was looking at $150,000, and he's going to be taking a loan out for $120,000. The difference, is that what the $30,000 is down for?
Yes, the cash.
Okay, and then the $35,000 is going to be financed through the owner?
Yeah, that's for the inventory, and it's a typical way of financing the inventory. Unfortunately, now, you have to pay a company to do the inventory, so you can't do it before the license application, and at the closing, it's prohibitively expensive,
So
they
that's,
estimated it.
is that the inventory just of the convenience store? Is there any liquor inventory or beer
I
inventory
think
included in
there's
that?
a little liquor inventory left. That's very hard to get rid of. I don't represent, but I actually happened to go by there today, and there seemed to be a little bit less in there. To get rid of it, the distributors won't come back and get it, you have to go get a permit to auction it, or sell it to somebody else. So that would be his next step if he couldn't transfer.
Well, then, if we were to grant the package store license, he would have to buy inventory. How much would that be?
That total, it's about $35,000.
So that's not the same 35 as for the convenience store.
Yeah, because there's some inventory in there.
They're combined, Jack.
Huh?
They're combined.
They're combined? I thought there was only a little bit of package store inventory in there.
That's what
Yeah.
are you?
Yeah.
Are you?
I'm saying
Oh, I
he's
got
buying
what
the
you're saying.
convenience store inventory, and now he's gonna have to stock the package store.
Yes.
Another 35,000 maybe?
Oh,
No, that is the total 35 there,
Okay.
including convenience and beer, wine, total maybe 35 to 40 around.
Okay. And is there a value to the liquor license? Was anything in the agreements with a value on the liquor license?
No, sometimes, for accounting purposes, they'll assign furnitures,
Goodwill,
fixtures, goodwill. It's not in here, because it's usually in the first 3 pages. It's normally done for the accountants, so when they do the year end for each side, they can assign a basis and.
You're talking to an accountant.
Oh,
that's
sorry.
why.
Well, you're not talking to one, so I let the accountants handle that if.
I'm all set.
I just had a quick question for Mike. When you mentioned that you, spoke with Mr. Patel about the assurances, are you getting anything in writing due to the,
Well,
or are you just going on
no,
ahead?
I'm taking Mr. Patel at his
Okay.
word. I couldn't really get anything in writing because, well, I don't know how you enter into a contract for that.
Yeah,
No, we have to look at this, and one of the things that's frustrating, not just here, but across the state, and including with the ABCC, is because of Mr. Patel's last name, it becomes very confusing as to who's related to who, and you can only have 3 licenses in the state. So it's been very difficult for the state, at the state level, the ABCC, to take care of this. Mr. Patel and Mr. Patel are not related.
right,
This would be,
right.
anybody coming in, I have to give them the benefit of the doubt. Like I said, I did a cursory check, and Mr. Patel's been up in Brockton for a while, and
Good.
he seems a man of good character, and that's what the law requires. So we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. And I told him I'll work with him if he's got issues where he has questions about underage or anything like that. We'll work with him on it. My goal is to have a clean business run successfully in town.
Beautiful.
Madam Chairwoman, Madam the Selectwoman, there is an affidavit that the ABCC investigators require, but it's not in the matrix, which is actually in the application package, where he does sign an affidavit, and all the investigators ask everybody to do it. So it is in your application where he says, I am the only person with an interest in this. They make everybody do that, so, if that gives you any comfort, there is a sign of the pains and penalties of perjury as well, so.
Thank you.
Mr. Devlin, can you go through those businesses that Mr. Patel has again? You said a gas station in New Bedford?
A gas station in New Bedford that
Yeah.
he is just the stockholder, he's not
Yeah,
an
and then-
operator.
What's in Brockton?
There's a convenience store.
Convenience store.
Convenience store, yeah.
The Westgate Mall.
Yeah, in Westgate Mall, Brockton.
Yep. So those are the two?
Those are the two, and
Okay.
his wife primarily,
Okay.
they share responsibilities, but
Yep.
when he's gonna be down here more, she's gonna, take on more of the load there.
Okay. How long have you run the convenience store in Brockton?
Almost more than 13 years.
13
Brockton. yeah.
years? And how long have you been involved with the gas station in New Bedford?
Guest and I start in 2001, so almost
10
more
years,
than 10 years,
11
11 years.
Yep. Okay. All right. That helps me.
Well, Mr. Patel, I'd like to let you know that we, in fact, seek businesses to come to Carver, and we'll look forward to businesses coming into our town. But I want to caution you, as the chief mentioned, we've had some issues with the past business up there, especially where alcohol is involved. and young kids underage. And we won't hesitate to act if that should rear its ugly head again. So we would caution you to be very, observant up there. Make sure that whoever you have on the counters up there are trained. They're asking for identification, and that it's not causing a bunch of problems for the town.
Yeah.
So, are there any other questions from members of the board? Hearing none.
Yeah, you want to ask the public?
What's that?
You might want to ask the public. I don't know.
Well, that's,
Public hearing?
yeah, it's a public
Yeah.
hearing. Anybody from the public want to chime in? Ms. Forrester? Can I get you to come up to the mic there? Yep. I know it's difficult. We should have a Mr. Microphone we can walk around with and... Please identify yourself for the home audience.
Jane Forrest at Cranberry Village.
Thank you.
I just wanted to know, Mr. Patel, how long have you been here? Were you born here, or are you?
No. I born in India.
Oh, okay,
I was here in 1997.
97.
97.
You've done very well.
Almost 14, 15 years.
Yep, done very well. That was mainly my question. It is good to see a business start like this, and I got a feeling it's going to be run right, too, this time.
Yeah.
And I just welcome you to the town, that's all.
Yeah,
Just
thank
wanted
you.
to say that.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you, Mrs. Forrester. Would anybody else like to speak on the issue? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Hearing none. We have a motion and we have a second to approve. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed? It's unanimous. Mr. Patel, we wish you the best,
Thank you very much.
most success going forward, okay? Thank you. Thank you, Chief. All right, next up, we have the website committee update from the committee members. And I see there's a possible vote on disbanding and restructuring the committee. Let's see what happens.
This is exciting.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you would please identify yourselves for our home audience.
Hi, my name is Steve Dewhurst. I'm the chair of the website committee.
I'm
My
Ellen,
august committee is right here.
I'm Ellen Blanchard. I'm a member of the committee. I live at 238 Main Street.
I'm Bob Bentley. I'm a member of the committee, and I live at 60 Wenham Road.
Thank you. Mr. Dewhurst, I understand you have a presentation for us tonight. And
Yes, but I'm having a technical issue here.
Peter, can you capture that back there? Okay, thank you.
I'm following directions from Peter.
Peter said he needed it down.
We just need Mr. LaFawn to get out of the way.
I was gonna, very high tech, I was gonna put a book under it if necessary.
Okay, well, first I'd like to thank the board for inviting us here. We've been working in the dark for the past couple of years, pretty much, slaving over our keyboards. I understood you wanted a summary of work done to date, and so this is pretty much what this is. Just keeping it short.
I can do the button.
Don't touch my button. So basically, in short, what have we done? We cut the website budget by 100%. We tried to do better, but we didn't seem to be able to. Our current website has the best public meeting information system in the state. It's a little bit underused right now, but it's more flexible than anything else we've been able to find elsewhere in the state. It's the most secure municipal website in the state. We're taking great pains to be very secure. And knowing that the way things change in the future, we've also made it extremely easy to change to new technology if necessary. There was a very rough transition from virtual town hall to our website, simply because there was no kind of format to the data. There's no standardization. So that's one of the things we took care of. So we can actually automate a future transition to a different website. Everything's described by rules.
I just wanted you to mention that those people who are watching at home can follow this because it's on the website.
By the way, just before coming here, we put it up in the public folder on the website. This is a place where we share documents with the public. So anybody who has a smartphone or who is watching at home and is having trouble seeing this can just get onto the website, carverma.org, and click on public folder. And right now, this is the only thing in the public folder. It identifies itself as this presentation. Okay, so where were we before? Well, one of the problems was the residents had a thermostat embedded in them. That's something we're going to fix next time. The other problem is that this was what I call the Soviet era website. It was centralized control. Our town accountant has done a ton of work taking this on himself for years, but he was hampered because he had virtually no budget. So anytime a department wanted to communicate with the residents, they had to go through the town accountant, who would send it to the web guy, who was a competent person who was just not paid very much and had to feed his family. And then it would get to the residents. And it's kind of like that party game where you whisper something to somebody, they whisper it to somebody else, and by the time it got to the residents, we wanted to say triple E advisory, and it would come out recommended that you get triple E or something like that. So this was just a wrong structure for the website. It was absolutely slow. To get something from a department to the residents took weeks. So just imagine some urgent thing happens. We have a triple E epidemic. We have a tax bill due. By the time it got to the website, it would not only be late, it would be wrong. So we wanted to have a democratic website. That's a small d democratic website. Basically, we would like to put the department heads directly in contact with the residents they're serving. We want to leverage their expertise. We want to give them freedom to contact the residents. And so to solve this, and we want to get these updates up in seconds, not weeks. So we changed the organizational structure first. Now the town accountant and the website committee stand off to the side and manage the information pipeline. We don't control it. The department heads go directly to the people. If a department head or somebody they designate wants to communicate, they just get on, they can sit in their hot tub with their smartphone and post headlines to the website if they want to. I don't have a hot tub or a smartphone. But virtually anybody who has a password designated by their department or board can actually post to the website. Does anybody know how many departments there? No, town clerk may not speak to this. Does anybody know how many departments we have in town? 100. He's right. It's about 100. It's a little bit less than 100, but that's a lot to keep track of. And so another major thing we wanted to do, of course, is kind of offload some of the very tedious work from the town clerk's office so they could spend more time with the public. So here's a picture of our new website. Departments now have direct access to the residents, and we have a very, very tight communication. Town accountant, town clerk, and website committee are in this together, and we communicate in a very efficient way. We manage that information pipeline, but we don't get in people's way. Okay, the second problem, of course, was what was wrong technically. Because it was underfunded, nobody was really maintaining the website code. And what happened is it would get patched. And after you patch software for a few years, it looks like a mass of noodles. Nobody can figure out what's doing what. So it was complex, it was outdated, it was static, and it was largely wrong. I mean, there was really no reason to go to the website for information that if you wanted current information. So what we did, and of course the other thing, there's no webmaster. We can't pay anybody to take care of our website. So the idea was to rewrite the website, clean it up, and make it self-maintaining. The website tries to take care of itself. So when you post a meeting, when you post a headline, when you do something like that, the website will actually, every now and then, will get it into its head to go and look at all the data on the website and clean up things that are out of date, remind people to do certain maintenance tasks and so on. So it kind of takes care of itself to a large extent. Now, no large system like this can take care of itself completely, but it can do a pretty good job on a day-to-day basis. Once every month or so, at least, somebody has to go in there and do something. The way we deal with this is a lot of the content, I don't know if there are any web nerd people out there. Am I all alone here? A lot of times websites are written in a language called HTML, hypertext markup language. And what happens is that's downloaded from the town server onto your machine, and then your web browser displays it for you. So a web program is running on two places at the same time. One is on the server, the other is on your machine, and it splits back and forth. Now, a normal website, when you go to a page, it just grabs the page off the server and puts it on to your computer, and then your browser shows it. What our website does largely is it represents things as data, very small, compact data, so that when you go to the server, it downloads a little bit of data, and then your browser expands that data into something that you can see. Now, the result of this is, one thing is that to rewrite the website, all we have to do is rewrite the data. And that's how the website is largely maintained. The other thing is there's very little data being downloaded, so a slow internet connection looks a whole lot faster because less is being downloaded. We also did a lot of other very tedious work. There were browser dependencies. You know, it would work with one browser and not another. There was a lot of repeated code. There was a lot of old technology, which I won't bore you with the details. Just a lot of cleanup stuff. But what this had the effect of doing, this was probably the hardest task, is in the future, when, if this website committee is not around, another website committee won't have to be as, I don't know, what's the term, masochistic as we are. They can maintain the website much more easily because it's in a much cleaner state. The other thing that was trouble with Virtual Town Hall I mentioned earlier is the documents were kind of just thrown up there in no particular order, no particular convention. So now when somebody, say a department head, uploads an agenda, uploads a document, the website code takes that and encodes information about that data in the data itself and posts it on the website. So now the data in the website is self-identifying. You can actually ask it questions and it'll tell you, what are you? Well, it'll say, oh, I'm an agenda. For who? For this committee, and so on. And that means that in the future, if we have to go to a different technology, instead of doing it by hand, we can write a little program that'll do the conversion for us very, very cheaply and very fast. And the other nice thing about these self-describing data is that the website also periodically runs scans through all of its data, making sure that everything is proper, that there is no data corruption, and nobody's been mucking around with it. So it kind of takes care of itself. So we're looking to the future. Okay, so now we also wanted to do some new development, of course. Town websites are not interesting, unless you're a website fan. But they have to be functional. So we were looking to redesign the website to give us more bang for our buck. So the first thing we checked, of course, is, well, what's our budget? What do we have available? What can we work with? And the town was paying about $1,800 a year for virtual town hall in Plymouth Rocket. And we weren't really utilizing it much. But we also looked at forward-looking development, and the budget for that was less. So this is what we'd allocated for actually making the website do something reasonable. So we had to do all the work ourselves. So these poor people, in addition to simplifying the structure of the site, we got rid of virtual town hall. We saved about $1,800 a year. The website is now free. Thanks also to the fire department for sharing their resources with us, their web resources. It cost the town absolutely nothing for this website. We've also written a whole lot of code, about 6,000 lines of code that runs on our server, about a couple thousand lines that run on your browser when you are looking at the website, and lots of HTML. But we also spent a lot of effort on making it usable. This is a municipal website. This is not a website that people go to get excited. It's a website they go to get information. And we want everybody in town, everybody, to be able to use the website. So it's not just for, middle school kids who know everything there is to know about websites. It's for the rest of us who really just want to get some information, and we don't want to have a flashy site. We want to get to the information we're looking for. We want to know, is there a meeting tonight? Has the meeting been canceled? what is the agenda for the meeting? What are the minutes for this meeting? Can I search public meetings? I suspect that the website committee has been doing some nefarious things. So give me all the minutes in the website committee in this date range, whatever. All of that information is easily available. We also have a subscription facility that lets residents actually say, you know, I'm too busy to go to the website myself. Instead, I'm going to express an interest in certain departments, and I'll automatically get an email whenever that department posts a headline or posts a meeting or changes the meeting and so on. So it's actually pushing information to you. In the future, we're planning to integrate better with CCAT. I've been chatting with some people there, and hopefully we'll get meeting videos linked in pretty soon. We'll, when the town posts a headline, it may also automatically go up on CCAT at the same time, and things like that. Things that we can do to integrate the website into the rest of the town's information infrastructure. We have a long way to go in Carver to get our information infrastructure up to date. As you can see, as I was kicking this machinery, this is just something we should not have to do anymore. So the website is part of what you'll be seeing over the next few months of proposals for actually improving our infrastructure with respect to information sharing, public information access, and so on. Okay, continuing talking about our care for all the users in town, we have actually put some sections on the website on how to use the website. So there are tutorials on the website. There are also administrative tutorials. We don't have a webmaster, as I've said. We have about 60 webmasters. Every department, every committee, every commission, board, whatever, will designate somebody to maintain the website on their behalf. And basically what they can do is they can post meetings, they can change meetings, they can post minutes, they can post modified agendas and modified minutes. They can post auxiliary files for minutes. I'll get back to that in just a second. They can post headlines, and they can also maintain documents and links. So when things change, they don't have to wait for somebody to change their web page for them. They can do it themselves. So these are things that are, 40, 50, or 60 people, I've lost count, who maintain the website do. And so there are administrative tutorials that the public may also look at. You can't change the website without a password, but you can see how the website is maintained. We've also been holding public presentations. We had a first one hosted by one of our selectmen at the Council on Aging. There will be others in the future, and of course, if you'd like to, if you have absolutely nothing better to do, you can invite us to come give you a presentation. So here, just for the people at home, this is the front page of the website. As promised, it's not flashy, but it's very, very efficient if you want to get information. I'm not going to do, obviously, I'm probably tasking the patience of the board as it is, so I'm not going to do a website demo. If you want to see a website demo, you have to invite me somewhere. But basically, a new user can click on how to use the website. You'll get all kinds of nice information there. If you click on administrators, you'll see the administrative tutorials and so on. And if you want to contact us, you click on, strangely, contact the website committee, and there are 3 different ways you can contact us. This is the how to use the website page. And I'm just pointing out that there is a visual tutorial available, very easy to follow. And so again, that's for the public if they're getting used to the website. Okay, so what are the benefits here? Okay, not bad. For departments, use of the website automates compliance with open meeting law. It keeps track of the documents required. When you post a meeting, a folder is created in the website, and then documents are inserted into that folder so that we always know the current status of a meeting, the current status of the agendas. You can change the agenda. The old agendas are still there. There's a history of it. You can see how the agendas have changed. You can post minutes, you can change minutes. And very important, you can add what I'm calling auxiliary files. An auxiliary file is, well, I remember at last year's budget meetings, it was almost painful to watch on CCAT. I mean, it was a good, efficient, directed meeting. It wasn't the budget meeting, actually. It was the the town meeting warrant discussion, I think. And this board was saying something like, let's take a vote on warrant Article 6. What's warrant Article 6? Who knows? And so on. They go through this whole list of warrant articles. Well, what they could have done, which we hadn't, started training people at that point, is they could have posted the warrant articles online, and anybody watching at home could have downloaded it, printed it at home, otherwise looked at it while the meeting was going on. If you're in a meeting like this, and maybe if somebody stands up and says, I don't have access to this document you're talking about, I can post it right now. And so somebody at home can actually see that document. Another thing we can use, there's been some talk about remote participation, which is an unambiguously good thing, I think. I think it's an unambiguously good thing. Of course, there are contrary opinions. But the reason I feel it's a good idea is a quorum has to be present. I shouldn't be arguing about open remote participation. If we decide to do remote participation, the website can be used to exchange documents back and forth between people who are here, the quorum that's present here, and the people who are participating remotely. But the nice thing about it is when we exchange the documents, everybody on the planet can see the document at the same time. The public watching here or at home watching on CCAT can see the exchange documents at the same time that the quorum here sees the exchange documents. So everybody knows what's going on, and you'll have much more effective meetings, much better public information. It's also more efficient. It's really fast to post a meeting. It cuts down on paper. One of the other nice things is there is a log file for each meeting, so we always know the history of a meeting. If there's any legal question, if there's any just somebody wants to know what the sequence of events were, there's a log file that records all that automatically. Okay, it also supports open government. We have more information available. I won't beat that to death, but people can upload things like spreadsheets, photos, building plans, music, if you want, video, whatever you need to support your meeting to the public, that can be uploaded. And once it's uploaded, it's there forever. We do backups, and that data does not go away. Don't upload anything embarrassing. Just a piece of hint. I hate, just a hint. Okay, we also, other information as well. We're very interested in providing residents with information about how their local government works. A lot of people don't know about the town meeting form of government. If you come from a larger city, you may think there's a city council or whatever. So we want people, when they go to the website, to have easy access to our governing documents, to the question of the day. There's a question of the day that gives you a question and answer of some town question about voting or about the form of our government and how to participate in the government and so on. And that will increase in the future. Residents, who's waiting for me to trip over this? So what do we give to the residents? Well, main headlines give them, general purpose, important headlines. Each department, all 100 or so departments, can post headlines as well, and they are available. Headlines are not persistent. Those are not public records, and so those can disappear from the website. It's a practical matter. They don't, because we do backups quite often, and so old headlines are still around, but they're not meant to be as persistent as meetings. And again, we have that subscription facility, which we'll talk about in a little while, that can remind you of tax, elections, non-emergency public safety. Our public safety departments are very appreciative of this feature, but they want everybody to know that any notification you get through the website is not for an emergency. In other words, you're not going to see, nuclear disaster run on the website. You're going to see EEE advisory, health advisory, flu clinic, things like that. Okay, in conclusion, we've had a lot of help here. And I think actually the town clerk's office deserves a lot of credit. They were doing fine without us. I think they're doing better with us. But this could not have been designed without their input. They were partners in our design. They're the main user of the website. And I can't thank them enough for all the time they've devoted to us and all the arguments we've had about interfaces. Nothing too serious. They always won, and that was good because they're the subject matter experts. So the town clerk's office has been instrumental in developing the website. Council on Aging has been very proactive in using it. One of the nice things about going around town, getting people to work on the website, is you discover these vast reserves of expertise. You never know who's an expert in photography or website design or something like that. And these people turn up and participate as we bring them into the website. West Wing. The West Wing is just a tongue-in-cheek for the west side of this building. They were the guinea pigs for all the new features. They were very generous. Board of Health Inspections and Conservation. Those departments really took it on and usually got to find the bugs in our code for us, which is very handy. Town Administrator's Office, if you ever want a direct opinion about something, go to the Town Administrator's Office. I'm not naming names, Gene, but if you want to know, they'll tell you. And they're very handy to give me feedback, and especially about the user interface. Audit Committee did a terrific job. They were very self-directed. The secretary for the Audit Committee showed up, had a quick tutorial, and then actually used all the features that were available. And they were very, very good about using the website to inform the public. And the fire department, I don't want to, they're a very shy department, but I still have to thank them for sharing their facilities and for being very patient the one or two times we broke their website. If I may, Mike, do you want to go to questions? Or you want me to keep going here? I'm trying to speed it up here. We can do questions at the very end if you like.
Yeah, let's do the questions at the end.
Okay. A subscription facility. For some reason, this became controversial, and I certainly don't know why. What does the subscription facility do? It lets a resident say, I'm interested in public safety announcements. I'm interested in hearing about my taxes. I'm interested in knowing about elections. I'm a big fan of the Board of Selectmen, and whenever they do something, I want to know about it. And they can subscribe. And whenever something happens of interest, it will email you. You don't have to go to the website anymore. It will tell you when something interesting happens. We're looking maybe, again, of simultaneously posting announcements on CCAT. We're also looking about using this to push information to local media outlets so that when, as a department head, you have something important to say, you can send it not only to the public and the website and CCAT, but you can also send it to the local papers as well. So how do we develop this? Well, one of our charges was to see what all the other kids were doing, and so we did. And Plymouth and Wareham and a few other places had a subscription facility that looked very interesting. But we stepped back and we designed a better facility. It's easier to use, it's safer, and it's more flexible. Whereas the other facilities can tell you about public meetings and agendas, we can basically inform you about anything at all that we can represent as an event. We can have a webcam on the town administrator's office, and whenever he leaves, we can send you an email. If we want to.
I like that.
Yeah. We can invade anybody's life.
You know, I can be as direct as Gene, too. If
Not yet.
I want to know why I'm not your best friend anymore, Stephen. I'm used to be a critic.
How do you know I'm thinking about you? It's not just Gene, by the way. There's a whole group of people in there who will tell you directly how they feel about you. Anyway, so enough of that. So we designed a better, more secure, more flexible version. We implemented an alpha version and we self-tested. That means we kicked it around and it seemed to work pretty well. We liked the user interface. And then we went ahead and decided to go forward with beta testing. Beta testing means we're going to extend the set of testers. And we did that. We chose, obviously, ourselves. It's kind of like, when you have a new vaccine, you always take the first shot. So we became beta testers as well, and we recruited some department heads. We recruited the town administrator's office for the last time, and a bunch of people from the public, some of whom are here, actually. And we asked them to see, is this usable? Do you like it? Please try to break it. Do weird things with it. Sit on the keyboard. Whatever. Try to subscribe to 500 things and unsubscribe to the same 500 things. Whatever. And it was successful. It worked. We modified the user interface, and it went live, and it worked pretty well. Actually, it worked flawlessly. There were no problems at all. And we started have many subscribers. Just briefly, here's what it looks like. Very simple. You want to subscribe or unsubscribe. You choose what you want to subscribe to. You enter your email address, and that's pretty much it. You get a response saying, this is what you just did. And then you'll receive an email, and all you have to do is reply to the email, and you are subscribed. And of course, you can unsubscribe at any time. And every now and then, every few months, the website will send you an annoying email saying, are you sure you're interested in the Selectmen still? Maybe once a year. We haven't decided how often is appropriate. But that'll clear out any unused emails. Here's how it works. Okay, any questions? It's actually fairly simple. And I color-coded it. Basically, a subscriber fills out a form. There's an initial subscription processing that copies a subscription request to pending subscriptions and sends the user an email. The user responds to the email, and then that is stored in a confirmation response file. Then there are two things that are called cron jobs. Am I losing anybody here? A cron job is a job that just runs every so often. It's a program that wakes up and says, is there something for me to do? And one of them processes the subscriptions, it checks the data against the responses, and then moves pending subscriptions to confirm subscriptions. There's another cron job that basically says, has anything interesting happened? And if so, who's interested in this? And it sends emails to the people who are interested. Currently, we are somewhat limited. We can only send about 400 emails an hour. That's not a problem yet. It's likely to become a problem in the future, so I may be actually, it hurts me to do this, but I may actually ask for some money to increase how many emails we can send. Because when I don't want people to have to wait 2 or 3 hours to get an email response if something happens. If somebody cancels a meeting, I think it'd be nice if you knew immediately. I don't think that's something you want to wait 3 hours to receive. So we may want to increase that. Okay, so that is pretty much the presentation I had in mind. Are there any questions? I know that Helen in particular had some issues with the subscription facility, and I'd like to answer any questions you may have.
I'll bring up my concerns all together. Because, based on the way this has transpired, I kind of have something written up to voice my concerns about the whole thing. But
would you like to do that right now, or do you want to do it offline?
I'll do it now.
Let's open it up for discussion.
Yeah,
first
open
of
it
all.
up for discussion.
It's legitimate.
And
Just one thing, so you know, I can't distribute this. It's people who know me find this hard to believe, but I actually have a code of ethics. I'm a professional programmer and have been for 35 years, and I'm held to a very high standard of behavior. I have a secret clearance from the Department of Defense. I've been quarried. I'm allowed to teach people how to wrestle and to go on overnights with first graders. What more do you want? But I know you were concerned with the emails getting out. Now, we've made the security very pretty secure. That was not that elegant. But you were worried about the possibility of a public information request. If somebody did a public information request, and you have to give that back to me, actually. That's what they'd get. So
Okay.
you can see.
it's jumble.
Yeah, it's encoded. Of course, any
Java.
information on the website is encoded. And are you safe if the People's Republic of China wants to find out what what committees you're interested in? No. But for any average person, anybody except the National Security Agency, your email is safe. It is encoded with a very, as I think Helen will point out, a very highly safe encoding algorithm. I don't know who's subscribing to what. I knew during the beta testing, of course, because I had to test it. But after that point, I have no idea who's subscribing to what, because it's just a bunch of encoded, jumbled data. Okay.
Before we get into questions and open the meeting up, I'd just like to say, personally, that I think we've come light years from where we were, obviously. I mean, we were in the dark ages, and we have no budget, so it's very difficult. We're relying on volunteers and people with some expertise to come in and to do this and, you know, revamp the whole system and set it up so it's usable for the average Joe like myself that.
And I have to say, I couldn't ask for a better committee. I mean, with their knowledge of town government, their, I guess, does that make you insiders, guys? We have a department head, we have the town moderator, we have people who have a lot of experience in town. And I'm not supposed to do this, but I also want to thank Selectman Hewens, because this was all her idea. I wasn't supposed to say that.
You just scored some points, I think, Steve.
No, I didn't. I did not score
You
points.
may get dinner tonight if we get out of here on time. But at any rate, I just wanted to set the table with that because,
Thank you.
You know, I've seen the growth on this myself. And it's no reflection on John Adams, like you said. John is.
No, John did a terrific
John has
job.
a full-time job as it is to begin with, and, you know, did not have the time or the wherewithal
Yeah.
to get it to the level that you have right now.
Well, and I'd also like to point out, John not only held the fort for so long, but he's been a great resource for us. As you saw that little box with the town clerk and the website committee, and John's there by himself. He's got his own box, and he's very important.
But having said that, what I'd like to do is open it up to my colleagues and let them ask the questions and
Okay.
whatever concerns they may have, let's put them on the table, discuss them, and then talk about what we're going to do to get to the next level on this. So. Helen, did you want to kick it off?
Through you, Mr. Chair, Steve, I too appreciate you bringing this up to the speed it's been, but
It was the committee, just saying.
the committee, yes, that's a little confusing because there's been, you know, just to lay the groundwork, there's been several times where you've been stated to be the webmaster, and as a matter of fact, there are emails that I have stating that you're the only one that has the capability of doing certain functions. But what I'd like to preface is the reason for my concerns, and I'm going to read something because I initially brought a concern up about an email link being put onto the website because my role as a Board of Selectmen is to be concerned about the residents of this town. And I'm going to be the bad guy now because this was a wonderful presentation, but I have to state the facts, and we have to look at policy. We have to look at the possibilities of lawsuits. And so what I would like is if you guys can give me 5 minutes so I can read through where my concerns have stemmed from. But I do want to thank the committee thus far for what they have done. But I also have some serious concerns about moving this town forward with a new board. So bear with me, Steve.
Well, if I may, just before you, one of the first things, if you have a concern, is to speak to the committee chair. And this is the first time that anybody on the Board of Selectmen has spoken to me. I've been trying for months to speak with you, but you've refused to get into contact with me.
I think I'll be able to answer that question once I read what I've put together. My original concern that brought the website committee here tonight was the day the committee decided to put an email link on the town website to allow residents to enter their email address on the town website. When I saw it, red flags immediately went up regarding the potential risks to our town relative to privacy, open meeting laws, and residents' personal information becoming public record. This was back around September 7th. I did confirm with the Attorney General's office that once an individual's email address is entered into a government website, it becomes public information. And I could go and I could request to see the email records. As a courtesy, on September 7th, I requested a meeting to be set up with me, the chair or vice chair of the BOS, and with Steve Dewhurst, current chair of the website committee, and has also been referred by town employees as the webmaster. This was a common courtesy I extended to be able to work with Steve on my concerns that I had regarding the town website prior to bringing it to a public meeting to discuss. In fairness to Steve, he did make arrangements one night, but there was a fireman's dinner that we got notice of at the last minute. So I asked Steve, through Rick, if Steve could reschedule, but it never happened. Instead, over the past two months, the website committee has been working behind the scenes, I feel undermining my request to meet with the concerns prior to having to bring this public. The committee has scheduled a few meetings at inopportune times for most people, 8:30 a.m., and most recently tonight at 6:50, 25 minutes before they would be appearing here. I was not given the courtesy of an invite to either meeting. Excuse me. I could not be there, as everyone knows, because I hold office hours at this time. The committee slated a packed full of agenda items that further involve potential privacy issues, such as setting up Twitter. For those who don't know what Twitter is, think of it as a phone line where you chat back and forth, except it is in writing. And I've noticed that just out on the Carver Reporter, in terms of potential lawsuits, there is a type of a Twitter where you can write comments. Residents can write comments about certain articles, and I cannot tell you how many times Carver Reporter has had to shut down those blogs because of nasty, mean, private information about residents of this town. They shut it down immediately because the potential for a lawsuit, and that is my biggest concern about moving this forward without any policies, procedures, or privacy statements. So because of this evolution, I now have several serious concerns regarding the website committee. As stated by Steve, we can invade anyone's life. So my first main issue is privacy, which still remains my biggest concern. The town of Halifax is a good example of a town with a solid privacy policy. We should either mirror or use the town of Halifax policy as a starting guide to have it written. 2, as a new board, we need to have committees that are willing to respect the Board of Selectmen and be able to work in harmony with the board. How they have handled my concern, I feel, is disrespectful and, in my opinion, unacceptable. The previous board created this website committee to bring back ideas to the board, not to become administrators of the website or a webmaster. Back in August of 2010, Steve Dewhurst came to the Board of Selectmen to discuss his application to be on the committee and stated that the website could be better and less expensive. Rick LaFawn stated at that meeting that the website committee would not have access to the website, and all access would be through John Adams with a third-party vendor. Rick further stated that the committee will make recommendations to the Board of Selectmen and will not make physical changes. This was a prudent and wise decision. If you look at this from the website committee's presentation, the Board of Selectmen has been totally taken out of the realm of discussion, decision-making for future changes to this website. As you can see from tonight's presentation, as you can see from tonight's presentation by Steve, this is not the case. So here are a few examples of where I feel that we've gone wrong. Documenting and updating the the BOS. There are no meeting minutes completed from the website committee at the town clerk's office. I have asked several times now after that through Rick for copies of the draft minutes so I could assess the please let me finish, and as I did you. This never happened, so I have still not seen any minutes of those meetings. There have been no meetings scheduled to update the Board of Selectmen since I have been here or in the most recent past until I brought up this concern. And most important, it is clear by the website's committee diagram on this page 7 to exclude the Board of Selectmen now and in the future regarding decisions. This is dangerous for the town, that there are no checks and balances nor oversight from the Board of Selectmen. Because there has been no checks and balance, inappropriate and incorrect verbiage has been put out on the town website, such as, although the one quote comment on the website, although the volunteer committee is overworked or underpaid, which I asked to have taken down until we could discuss it, but it has not. Second comment, The website does not have a single webmaster or website administrator because the town cannot afford it. This verbiage, to me, is unprofessional, false, and unnecessary. Third concern, limiting the website committee to 3 members. Why? Why wasn't this discussed with the BOS? Why do you want 3 persons committee, which will lead to quorum issues? And how can you have an even balance of residents with 3 members? 5, unfair photography promotion. There are many talented photographers in the town, but there are only a few names with pictures out on the website. Steve Dewhurst is copyrighted, and Sarah Hewins. And there's one other, but I don't think it's necessary to bring that person up. To me, this is unfair and unethical that other town residents don't have the opportunity to place pictures out on this website. It is also an example of why this town has a bad reputation for cronyism. We need to change the dynamic of this town. I feel this website committee has abused its power and gone way beyond than what the prior Board of Selectmen intended them to do.
I'll try to work backwards. With respect to the photography, the original website had absolutely no attribution. The website committee has actively sought attribution for all the photos. That's why we were able to put a few attributions there. The others we simply don't know. We've been looking for them. Now, we had the option, we could have taken all the photography off the website that had been there for 10 years, or we could continue to find out whose pictures they are and give proper credit. Every new picture that goes up there has proper credit. Now, with respect to, what was it? What we were favoring people with cameras or not favoring people with cameras? What is it?
Weren't giving
Photography.
What we've done, first of all, we've made a big departure from the original website. By the way, this is another example of why we need more infrastructure. I would like some bandwidth here, Rick, please. You're going to have to take it on, you'll have to take my word for it that there are pictures here. Oh, there we go. We have to fix that. For instance, we're trying to be more democratic about this with a small d.
That's a wonderful picture.
Is that your blog, Dick?
No, that's not Dick's Bog. I have no idea. This is another example. This has been on the website forever, and we would love to find out whose it is. But we can't make stuff up to put onto the pictures. We have to attribute them properly. Now, eventually, when our infrastructure is improved, you will be able to see a bunch of photo galleries. We've started what's called 12 Views of Carver. It's in a very beginning stage, and I'm asking department heads and residents and people to, it's kind of an artistic thing, to choose 12 pictures that they think describes their department or committee or whatever in some pictorial way. It's now clearly, this is not an art gallery, but people like to see pictures of their town. And so far, eventually you may see, there are 3 galleries there right now, and they're at the very beginning stages. So we have the photos on the homepage. I stuck them all together, and they have descriptions, but they don't have.
Several of them came from my office.
Well, thanks for telling me.
The town hall.
This was just, when you do something like this, you have to experiment with it. So what happened is I went to the coal bogs one day and took a bunch of pictures, and put them up here just so I could show other people what it looked like. This was not an attempt to, derail people in town from showing pictures. This just shows other people who in the future will put up galleries. Here's what a picture looks like. You have a description, you have a copyright, and then it's displayed. The first people who have stepped forward on this, I have a lot of people I'm asking about this, but the Historic Commission has stepped forward and started putting up their own website. Now you'll notice there is no copyright here. Why is there no copyright? Because they are researching the copyrights. These are old pictures. We don't know in every case where they came from. But this is a vast improvement over what we had before. It's much more democratic. It's much more inclusive, and we're being very careful. The software here demands that you put in a copyright and a caption, if it's available. So this is addressing that problem specifically. Working backwards. Where were we? Web problems. How does this website get written? We work 60 hours a week, all of us. I'm a small business owner. You know what that's like in this economy. So, you know, it's great being a small business owner. You can work any 70 hours you want. And then at midnight, when you get home and you're tired and you're thinking, gee, I really do have to get that thing on the website done. So at 1 a.m., it's possible that I did indeed say this. Although the volunteer, overworked, and unpaid website committee, blah, 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 that's kind of like a joke, except it's not funny. But aside from that, I don't see that that has caused public harm to kvetch when you're tired. Who did that hurt?
But I woke you up when through Rick LaFond, I had called and asked if you would take it down until we had time to discuss, because it was inappropriate and...
Helen, I did you a big collegial favor with the subscription facility. I took it down against my better judgment.
You did the town a favor, Steve.
No.
Not me.
We need, wait a sec, if I may. As you say, we need processes and procedures. Now, here's one member of this Board of Selectmen who has a bee in her bonnet about this,
Excuse me?
Steve, Steve, don't make it personal.
okay.
Discuss the issue.
You are one of 5 people. Against my better judgment, and I took down the subscription facility after arguing about it. I don't think that was the right thing to do. I should have called a meeting and gotten a vote of my board. At the very next meeting of our board, I asked them to censure me for my actions, and they should have, but they didn't. But they should have.
And that meeting was, in fact, the meeting that you're referring to as a behind-the-scenes meeting, which was not a behind-the-scenes meeting. Every one of our meetings, because I work also, has been held after hours except that one, which was held on the Friday, September 21st, I think it was.
At 8:30 a.m.
At 8:30 a.m.
Through you,
And we
Mr.
passed
Chair.
on that information. Mr. Forrester was there. He recorded the entire program. Ms. Padavani was there. She asked a number of good questions. And as far as I'm concerned, that wasn't a behind-the-scenes meeting, nor have any of our other meetings been behind-the-scenes at all.
Through you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
I said they were inopportune, and being that I was the one that
You said
brought...
behind-the-scenes.
Well, then
Wow.
I apologize for that, but I clearly state here as well, inopportune, and since I was the one with the concern, it would have been nice if you really want to work in collaboration to have called me.
At that point, it was moot. That subscription facility had been taken down. That was your
Mr.
concern.
Chair,
It was
this-
taken down.
Okay, all right.
This is not the main point. If I may be the only person that has a concern, however, there should be more concern with this board, especially with the previous members. I go back to the August 2010 meeting where the Board of Selectmen at the time were told that the website committee would not have administrative control.
Actually, the
Quite
concern,
frankly,
that was not quite,
it is an
that's
Let
not
her,
quite
let her
right.
finish, let her
It
finish.
is an extreme conflict of interest to have a webmaster have this type of control over the town website when there is a sitting Board of Selectmen that is a family member. Plus, that you have taken the Board of Selectmen out of the process. Could you elaborate on that?
Yes, I'd be happy
Well,
to.
actually, point of
All right,
personal
one
preference.
at a time.
Point
one
of
at a time.
personal preference, Mr. Chair. There is no conflict of interest, Helen. My husband is not being paid for this, and that's all the conflict of interest law addresses. Whether there's a conflict and someone is receiving remuneration,
Perceived benefits.
there is no conflict here. And I think that that's really between me, the Ethics Commission, and God.
Okay, all right. Steve, it's on to you or one of your members.
Now, remind me, what was I just accused of? I'm losing track. Oh, the Board of Selectmen. Yeah, I'd like to point out that the Board of Selectmen established this committee, told us to get to work, and we went above and beyond in a very public way. You can't not be public with a website. If you're in Tibet, you can follow what's happening on this website. If the Board of Selectmen were concerned they should have asked us to come and report. We can't decide when you are willing to see us. We are public, we have a committee, we have public meetings. You have never asked me for minutes. I still have to transcribe a couple of them. You have never spoken to the chair of the committee of any of your concerns. And I gave you my cell number through Rick. You refused to call me without witnesses. Now, what kind of respect is that showing this committee that's worked very hard over a very long period of time when this board, frankly, has shown no interest in our work, hasn't said boo? And while we're on the topic, why did we meet at 8:30 in the morning? What time of year was it? What happens in Carver in autumn? Harvest. This guy had to harvest, and he was forcing me into working for him. We had to do it at 8:30 because we couldn't do it any other time. The berries are not going to wait for you to come home from work.
All right, I see a question from Mr. Franny.
I think we all pretty much agree that when you were established, you were going to kind of give us an overview on it, and you weren't going to be at this level here. And you say the Board of Selectmen isn't interested in it. I think it's, Helen followed the right procedure. Rick LaFond is our liaison with all our committees. She went forward and spoke to him and expressed a concern about that subscription service. And even you had it up there in your thing that he's your best friend. You know, he should have, well, all I'm saying,
that was in reference
this
to
is a
Gene.
small matter, and it's escalated into what, you know?
That's my point. We're just trying to produce a good, we're just trying to give the town of Carver the best municipal website in the state. We accept perfectly well comments from anybody, but we can't read this board's mind. If you pay us no attention for 2 years and we just keep working and cranking out the code and getting the features up, we think we're doing okay. If you want to manage this committee, you should have betrayed some interest since 2010.
All right, Ellen, you had your hand up. Why don't you?
Thank you.
Jump in there and confirm.
Well, I'm speaking as the Director of Assessing at this moment.
Okay.
Because I was so excited. I was one of the first people in on getting the website updated and improved and user-friendly and to be a really good reflection on the town of Carver, which I think we've actually accomplished. My department's page has links to everything, has information galore. I put up headlines so that the cranberry growers know that their applications have to be, their chapter land applications have to be in by October 1st. I've had a recurring headline up there so that there are people who are seniors who are otherwise having difficulties paying taxes, that there are options through my department that they can, there are forms right on the website, links to the forms, really important stuff that they need to know. This is, as far as I'm concerned, the website for the town of Carver is supposed to be for information only. Information to the residents, and that people, this is stuff people need. And it's been missing for years. And getting things updated, I put in requests to have things updated. Some things never did get updated. Some things were 6 months later, and by then it was too late. But that is why I went on the website committee in the first place, was because I wanted to make sure that my department's webpage was good and had all the information anyone should need to know about assessing and what the assessing department can do for them. The other thing is, I wanted to address the comment about only 3 members on the board. We'll have 11, I don't care. We've never limited the number of members on, at least I have never said anything. I've never said anything about the web, so I don't even
It's never come up.
understand. I don't even understand why that issue even came up. It's never come up at any of our meetings. So the more the merrier. I understand you're going to appoint 2 more people tonight. Then we'll have 5. That'll be awesome. I'd be really delighted to have them on board.
No, the
Great.
more expertise you have, the, you know.
Absolutely.
The better job you can do.
Absolutely, Mike. I think it's a wonderful idea.
Are you all set there?
For the moment,
Okay. Now, through the eyes in the back of my head, I know that Mr. Ward has a couple of questions, so I'm gonna, then we'll kick it to
do you want
Bob.
to say anything?
Then
Oh,
we'll-
okay.
Then we'll kick it to Bob.
But I do want, I'm sure I've forgotten some of your points. If there's any point that you feel has not been addressed, I'd like you to repose it.
I'm fine right now. Thank you.
I'm up. This whole program, as I look at our town, I think it's great. I'm hearing what Ellen is saying, and I'm picturing all the different departments upgrading and providing information that our citizens can get. We need to go into the technology world that we live in. And I would love our town to look good. I am not opposed to that wonderful picture in the beginning of it. But what I'm seeing is that you have gone a long ways. And I'm saying, well, you know, I'm looking at the subscription part. And of course, many of the things here, not being a very literate computer person, I get through email and a few things. I can see some concerns that Helen has. I can see where you've been working hard and putting things together. And I also can see that we need to be appraised maybe a little more often as we go. And the reason that I wouldn't have asked you to come before us is because really I didn't think that we would be going, it's such a huge area. And I'm not saying I don't like it. I'm just saying, isn't there a way that we can work these problems out? Because we're going to have these problems with such a momentous mass of information that we're putting into our website. So can't we work these major problems? The problem, you know, the selectmen maybe be tied in a little more. I was wondering one other thing. Who oversees if somebody or some department head, if we have 100 people that have a access code, and something does go in there that's inappropriate, when does that get discovered?
That is, if I may, that's something we discussed in committee, and we have a little bit, actually one of our newest there he is. This is our newest webmaster, Bob Belbin. He, how long did it take you to train on the website? Yeah, a couple minutes. So as long as we can depend on Bob's good behavior, we'll be good for the RDA. But
that would mean that Bob would have to go through all the departments.
No.
no, I'm just,
No?
Each department has access only to its own realm to
Yes.
make changes and
Yes.
posts. So
There
if
is an-
something, if something, and I'll use you, Ellen, because you're here, if something wildly inappropriate goes up on the website for the assessing department, it is clearly the responsibility of the person holding the codes to do that. That's Ellen Blanchard. And like any employee, that employee is subject to whatever job action might be resulting from that type of responsibility being misused. So
this is a,
And-
if I,
Yeah, I just want to respond to that quickly, Rick. I have my password set up automatically. I'm going to take it down now when I
Well,
go
that's
back to
fine.
my desk. But go ahead.
I know, when the time is right, Mr. Chairman, I think I can put a little more
Okay.
context to this whole meeting that
I wanna
I
give
think might
everybody
be a
their
little more
opportunity
flattering
to-
to everybody.
I just had a couple things that I forgot.
Ellen,
Yeah.
you've already spoke. Give Bob a chance to
But I
speak
want
first.
to tell you where the pictures came from.
Okay. All right. We'll give you another chance.
They
Let
came
Bob
fr-
speak up.
Okay.
We also voted as a committee to not have if the department decided that they wanted to have more than one person from their department be able to upload, we decided as a committee that they had to have their own separate password to get in, so that it's automatically identifiable to that person and not identifiable to that department as a whole. So it's very, very, we're able to focus in very, very easily and very carefully on that. I think the most important part of what has been presented tonight is that this website and every word that I have heard up to this point, up until the subscribe point, was that this is a wonderful website and that this has been working exactly as the town of Carver wanted. And I heard that from members of the Board of Selectmen and lots of other people in town. You may not have had to post meetings. Yesterday I posted a meeting, it took me 15 seconds, including an agenda. It went to the town clerk's office. I didn't have to send an email with a PDF to the town clerk's office, have them have to respond to me. And every time I go and see the three ladies in the town clerk's office, they say, please, please, help us get more people to sign up for this because it makes it so much more efficient. You know, I don't think we're trying to be underhanded. I don't think we're trying to do anything untoward for the town. I think we're trying to give the town something that is useful and can be accurately and professionally used by all of us, department heads or committee chairs or whatever, to make it so that we can get information out to everybody in a timely manner. You know, if the biggest stumbling block right now is the subscribe feature, then, you know, I don't have a problem with continuing to keep that on hold. But I'm very concerned that there's been other comments and other comments made that have suggested that the website committee hasn't been working in the best interest of the town.
Thank you, Bob. All right, Ellen, put a wrap on it.
Okay. The pictures actually belong to the town of Carver because they came from my department's fund of pictures, because we do take pictures all around the town of properties. As you notice, the town hall is there. The South Carver Fire Station is one of them. There are several of those pictures that came from my department, and they are public information, and they're available to anybody to use. As far as I know, I guess they would be copyrighted by the town of Carver, but I don't want to tax Copeland and Page with rendering an opinion on that. The other thing was that, oh heck, I wrote myself a note, and I don't know what it means.
You're getting like me. I write notes and then I lose the notes.
Oh, man.
Through you, Mr.
It
Chair.
was, we laughingly refer to Steve as the webmaster because he knows so much more than anybody else I know, as far as web, and he says he's not a web guy, but he's done a remarkable job on the town's website, and it's been a godsend to me. I mean, I get my agendas, my minutes, my whatever else I'm supposed to put up there is up there. And it's very quick, and it's good for the citizens.
Okay.
And I did have one more thing, but I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Through you, Mr.
Ellen.
Chair, can I get back to, I would like to get back to the original concern I have. And that is that when this website committee was formed, that they were going to make suggestions and that none of them would have administrative rights. And as Ellen Blanchard had sent an email stating, Steve Dewhurst, this was one particular piece, is the individual who is able to physically do the work to take the feature offline. We are open with privacy. If we don't have policies and procedures, I think this is my biggest concern, is that we don't have privacy issues. The emails become a public record. Twitter will be a lawsuit waiting to happen. And I go back to the original. If you cannot work in camaraderie with the new board, how can we ever move forward? And
Okay.
everyone needs to think through, you know, what I had said in terms of if you agree with me or not. And quite frankly, I think anyone who was on the Board of Selectmen at the time this happened should be a little bit disappointed that we're not following what happens at meetings. If you can go and just say, well, I went above and beyond without coming back to the Board of Selectmen, what type of controls do we have in this town? Just like last week with not being sworn in. Well, that might be, this time it's okay. this is our role, is to have policies and procedures, and not always looking like the good person having to say, this is great. We have to look at the nitty-gritty. And I am gonna make a motion this evening that I think that we should go back to the original intent of this website committee, and that they should not have any administrative rights, and that somehow or another, we are put back into the loop of this graph that, where is that graph you had? Page,
We all remember the graph.
this graph here, where we have been taken out of the discussions of things that may happen.
Well, may I?
Or may I?
Steve, Ellen, you've been up twice.
I know. but
Let
I just-
Steve counter,
He
and
did
then,
the whole talk.
then we're gonna put a wrap on this, okay? It's getting late, 15 minutes were allocated, we're well beyond that now.
That's why I was talking so fast early on. Helen, the board was never in the graph. What we did is we pulled more people into the graph. We pulled in the town clerk's office. They are the people who manage the information for the town. The board here has political oversight, or whatever the right term is, I don't know. I'm not a selectman. And we've done our work in an open and public manner according to open meeting law, in consultation with the town accountant and the town clerk's office. That, to me, is a lot of oversight. Now, surely the board was up to date with what was happening with the website. I mean, certainly I know that Jack and Sarah and Dick, to some extent, Dick, not as much as Jack and Sarah, were continuously updated. Jack has actually scheduled a couple meetings with me to discuss things on the website. I can't predict when you want to hear from the website committee. I presumed that if there was a concern, you would let us know. You have my cell phone, you have my work phone, you have my email. I'm very easy to reach. You can go to the website and click on Contact Website Committee. We have a special email. Again, if you want additional oversight, all you have to do is act on it. But keep in mind that web technology is not 1960s technology. It is a much freer format, and you will not get the performance and the public service you need if you try to control every aspect of it. What we do is we put down a substrate, and we get good people like the town clerk's office, like our department heads, to contribute to this. If the website doesn't put information out there, it provides the ability of the people in the town to tell the rest of the town what's going on, to solicit information from people, to republish it in a responsible way. Now, is it true? Maybe some committee secretary gets some strange idea and makes a very bad choice on a headline. That same person could stand in the front steps of town hall and scream the same thing. We'll take it down immediately. I'm going to put you guys on the spot. What's the average time it takes to fix a problem with a website? Well, I was going to say 15 minutes. See if you can find that response time. You can go out and, like the town of Plymouth, pay $10,000 a year for lesser service. And it's going to be slower, it's not going to be as flexible, and it's not going to be as good. You're getting this for free, and you're getting terrific response.
All set, Steve?
I can, as long as Helen's unhappy, I'm unhappy.
Well, I think I want to address, and that's good, and I appreciate that. Couple comments that I have, first of all. I think that what I'm seeing is probably a lack of communication, and we're all probably guilty of that. Not any one individual, but probably both groups. I like what I've seen with my limited knowledge base about computers. I like what I see where we're going with the website. I like what you're doing, making it accessible to everybody and workable and self-sustaining. So I think we're headed in the right direction. I think what we need to do is just get everybody on the same page here. And perhaps we can do that with better communication, schedule some more frequent updates. I would suggest to you that 8:30 in the morning meetings on Friday doesn't exactly instill confidence in people that there's transparency in town government. So, I mean, I understand there's always, emergency reasons to do something like that, or whatever the case may be. That happens periodically. But to limit any doubt on the part of people that things are being done that shouldn't be done, you keep things in the light of day. Do you know what I mean? And the way you do that is you do it when people have the opportunity to attend the meetings and participate. What I would like to propose is that, you know, you guys have done a ton of work. I'm sure you're overworked. We can help you with that by getting some more membership, soliciting more membership. We can't get you any money. So,
We were really hoping for that.
so we can help you with probably the physical assistance part. And the other thing I'd like to see is, I think Kellen's right on target with the fact that we need some policies and procedures. Like anything else, you know what I mean? And it's not that people are intentionally gonna do things that could put us in a libelous position or something, maybe. But if they have guidelines, policies, and procedures to follow, the likelihood of errors and mistakes that could be costly have been reduced to some degree. So I think that maybe that should be part of our focus as we continue to move ahead. Rick, you want to augment what I'm saying
Well,
here?
first of all, I think you hit it on the head. I think, you know, a lot of this has been some unfortunate inability for people to, I know originally, the issue that was raised was some concerns about the subscription service and the security of information, very legitimate concern. And quite frankly, it's been like, you know, trying to put people on Mars to get people together to have a discussion about that, and that's nobody's fault. That's just the way it is with life in this era. So, I think it's important, obviously, that the Board of Selectmen have confidence that any substantial changes, not the day-to-day changes, but the substantial changes, whether you, I mean, I'm out of my league here, but you mentioned like Twitter. I don't know anything about that. But when you're going into a service like that, we have to know, and the committee's been great, because obviously we have to make sure that that any insurance issues that we have to are all taken care of, and so that's been important, that communication. But those substantial changes, I think it's very fair that there be some communication to the board in advance. And maybe that's through, again, the guidelines that can be set up. It just seems like there are some fairly simple bureaucratic ways to solve the issue that is concerning people. But I wouldn't want to leave here tonight without at least having some feeling that there's at least confidence in the subscription service and the security of that information. I know Steve addressed it a little bit. You know, that's the questions I get. When's that going back up?
Yeah, I'd like to do it
If
immediately.
I could, real quick, you know, it was, the committee did agree that they would take that down until such time that we could have further discussion with the Board of Selectmen. And tonight, I would consider further discussion with the Board of Selectmen. So at least in the short term, it would be nice to know where the status is of that, while the committee, I would challenge, begin to draft up some policies for review by the powers that be.
And I don't want to minimize Helen's concerns. I mean, you know, people look at things from different vantage points. Steve has an in-depth understanding of what's going on with this. So, I mean, again, I think a lot of it has to do with the communication. I think we all need to get better at that. And maybe it's a matter of scheduling, you know, regularly scheduled meetings. And maybe let's focus on some policies and procedures going forward so that we can get an outline for everybody to adhere to. And we have, have a base of operations that everybody's working from.
Through you, Mr. Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
I would request that the subscription page remain down until we have some sort of privacy and policies and procedures that are reviewed via the Board of Selectmen as well. Thank you.
Can we live with that?
I can, but of course, I do want you to know how careful we've been. I actually talked to the tech people at Virtual Town Hall. Ours is way safer than theirs.
Okay.
But we'll
All right.
go ahead.
Steve, it's not that I don't trust what you did. It's just basic information going out and speaking with the Attorney General. Once an email goes out into a government website, it becomes a public record. So until we have
Yeah.
time,
May I be very clear? The email is never on the website. The email never makes it that far. It's encoded before it hits the wires.
but what we need to investigate is, even though it's encoded, because the email has been placed out onto a government website, can someone request it through the Freedom of Information Act? These are the things that we need to make sure of to protect the town's interests.
And we can get answers to that question.
We will.
Yeah, that quite frankly, that I can understand.
I don't think we're
That's
far
just
apart here.
It's fair enough.
I don't think we're far apart.
No.
The answer is yes, you can request it, at least in the state of Maine. That's what I was able to find out. You can do it in the state of Maine and get it. The point is that what they're going to get is not worth anything to anybody.
Okay. I would ask my sister on the board here if she would be willing to withdraw that original motion that she made in an attempt to move forward here.
Is there anything solid in terms of communication that we are gonna
Well, I think
have, or?
the website committee has agreed to address policies and procedures going forward.
Okay,
There's gonna be some additional members going on the board. I think that's gonna
that'd be
broaden,
great.
that'll open it up and broaden it. They'll have some additional expertise and I think that everybody understands what we need to all be on the same sheet of music here,
That's fair.
you know? Is that okay?
I think that's excellent.
And I would encourage the website committee and Helen to get together.
I've made it clear that I go through Rick LaFond when I was communicating with Steve, and I too gave my cell phone number
Yep,
out on
yep.
day one, and
I mean, from here
that-
on, Helen.
that should have gone through Rick LaFond to you.
Unfortunately, you guys are both pretty darn busy.
All right, let's blame Rick.
Oh, sorry, I'm good with that.
That's the easy part.
That helps us move on.
He gets the blame for everything.
Thank you.
Maybe
Thank
they
you very
can
much
visit you in your
for
One-
the
one
job that
second.
you've done.
I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
Oh, move adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye, we're adjourned.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
All right, up at 7:30 PM is the redevelopment authority. Are they still awake? I'll tell you what, does everybody need a bathroom break or a water break?
Yes.
Why don't we take 5 and then reconvene? Just reconvene, please. The night is getting long. Gur? Members of the RDA, I talked to your chairman, we're gonna shuffle the order here a little bit. I'm gonna do 3 appointments first, okay, then we're gonna bring you guys up, I apologize for that. Why Will didn't say anything to you, I don't know. Take it up with him.
Where is he anyhow?
Right under the bus, didn't he? How do you like that, Jack? All right, we have 3 appointment requests tonight. The first one up is Mr. Eric M. Steele, Business Development Commission. Eric, if you come up here and join us at the mic, identify yourself for our home viewers. Let them know your name and where you're from, and
So my name is Eric Steele. I live down at 22 Copper Lantern Lane. So I've been a resident here in Carver for 4.5 years. I grew up in Pembroke, so I'm local, went to Silver Lake, went to Bridgewater State, got my degree in operations management. For the past 6 years, been working with a company called Groom Energy Solutions out of Salem, Mass, North Shore. And we work with small businesses, medium businesses, large businesses across the country, and helping them to make their buildings more efficient, more energy efficient. So I work from a home office here. I was also, when Copper Lantern Lane first came in, I was the chairman of the board for the association down there. I actually recently just got off of the board, so I have some free time and looking to hopefully join the BDC.
I'll make a motion, we approve.
I'd like to second that motion.
Are we gonna?
motion in a second. This is quick. Whenever we have volunteers, we just,
Yeah, you're not getting
job.
away.
Especially for the BDC.
Yeah.
It's well needed.
do any of the members of the board have any questions? I spoke briefly with Eric and was introduced to him by Jack prior to the meeting here, and I think it's admirable you're coming out to volunteer, assist the town, try to move forward. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Eric. Where are you originally from?
So I grew up in Pembroke,
Okay,
so lived there, been around the state a little bit, but then moved to Carver. when,
Married,
Carver
children?
Lantern came. So yeah, married, have a 9-month-old, and so yeah, life's good.
good luck to you. College college will be about $250,000 a year by the time she gets there.
All those night
I'll be dead and buried then, thanks.
So,
All right, we're looking forward to you playing an active role and maybe helping us move forward, okay? Thanks a lot.
all right.
Thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? It's unanimous.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Next up is Skip Martin, Recreation Committee. Skip, same interrogation rules. Identify yourself, name, address.
Alrighty, Skip Martin, 4 White Pine Lane, Carver. Been in town for probably 10 years now, originally from Plymouth. And got a lot going on with kids and myself and my wife with recreation, and just thought I'd lend a hand trying to help out with everything.
Excellent. How old are your kids, Skip?
10 and 6.
They involved in local activities?
Everything. Picket.
Been there, done that.
Absolutely.
Have you seen your wife in the last 10 years?
Of course.
That's why I'm still married, because she took the girls, went this way, I took the boys and went that
Well,
way.
she's involved in the recreation too, right?
My wife plays women's softball.
Yeah.
And she played for Carver High in the 90s when they won all their state championships and stuff.
Super,
So
super.
it's a family affair.
You could say that. That's why I wanted to put my my name in the ring.
I make a motion, we approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I just want to say it's commendable that we're getting some younger volunteers out here. You need to retire some of us old graybeards like Dick and myself, and, get some new blood flowing, new ideas and everything. Thank you very much.
They
Skip.
need a lot of members on the recreation. committee, I
Recreation,
think,
right.
Don't they, John?
Yep.
We have, actually, more than enough committed. We're just waiting for everyone to be appointed.
You only have 2 appointments.
Very good. Dick?
And you have a big job of working schedules and fields and,
Absolutely.
so we welcome you aboard.
I look
We
forward to
didn't
it.
take the
We
vote
gotta
yet,
vote.
did we?
No,
No,
we
no.
haven't voted.
Yeah.
Speaking of fields, we need to put that on a future agenda so we can get moving right in the spring, do some things. But
So I hear.
we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed? It's unanimous, Gene.
One more thing, you need to get sworn in.
I do. I'll be there tomorrow.
Town clerk's right there.
Thank you.
Next up, Mr. Philip Shannon for the Website Committee. Phil, same rules apply. Please identify yourself to the home viewers and tell everybody where you're from. And
Hi, I'm Phil Shannon. I'm 46. I live on 7 Bow Street. I've lived here for about 8 years. And
Did you just say your age?
Yeah.
name, rank, and serial number. I like this guy.
You do know that's not public
That's all right.
information.
I don't mind. But I grew up in Marshfield, and I've lived here for about 8 years. I've been in the IT business for about 15 years. I have some certifications. One of them is MCSE, which is Microsoft Certified Systems Engineer. And that's what my job is. Where I work for a software company in Cambridge called Pegasystems, and I'm a senior systems engineer. So I work with things like blade servers and operating systems and databases. And I do have experience with websites, and mostly lately it's been with things like WordPress and Blogger. And so I mean, I have some comments about the website committee, but do you guys want to ask me questions? Or?
We can open it up. Do any the members of the board have any questions for Phil?
I'll make a motion, we approve,
Okay.
and we can go
I'll
into
second
discussion.
that.
Motion and a second. Now we got it open for discussion. Anybody have any questions? Want to let Phil go into his?
You can go into your comments.
Okay. Well, I started doing some research, and I looked at what other towns have done, and it seems like a lot of towns have website committees, but where I work, when you have a project or a committee, you always have a goal, and usually website committee's goals is to redo the website, and it seems like they did a really good job. They've redone the website, and so it's almost like, I don't know if they had a goal, but it's almost like mission accomplished, And what I noticed is some towns have technical steering committees, which are because website committees are usually an end date, our goal was to redesign the website and make it more useful, and then you did that and it's ended. But a lot of towns have a technical steering committee where you step back and take a bigger picture of the technology in the schools and in the town hall and things like that. And then it's almost like that's more of a feeling I got for this, what this committee's, doing going forward and stuff. So I'm not sure if a website committee is the right thing to call something that's gonna look at the technical issues for the whole town, so I just thought I'd throw that out there. So where I work, a lot of, in the IT department, policies are really important. And I worked in the IT, in the help desk IT department for like 5 years. And so it's like policy, red tape nightmare in IT departments with things like Sarbanes-Oxley. So I was really happy. I'm in the engineering department now, so I was glad to get away from that. But I do have like experience with policies and stuff. So I try to look, what's on the website now. And people were talking about, security, like there's different levels of security, like your code needs to be secure, your operating systems need to be secure. But one of the most important parts of security is, privacy policies. And that's also something that jumped out at me, like that was missing. And so a lot of people were talking about policy, so I just thought I'd throw a couple sentences out there of what I'm thinking is missing, And it's like at one town, like right off the top, it says, at this website, the town attempts to protect your privacy to the maximum extent possible. This policy informs you, meaning the residents, of the information that the town collects from you at this site, what the town does with it, to whom it may be disseminated, and how you can access it. And that's the type of thing that I think is missing. And I'm not even sure if that's what was being discussed, because security was getting thrown around. And other than that, I mean, I'd love to help the town, but I leave it, before 7 in the morning to go, because I work up in the city, and I get home usually like at 7 or later. So if there's like 8 in the morning meetings, I'm not sure if I'd be able to help at all, But if it's like the meetings that you guys have at nights and weekends, then I'd love to help.
It sounds like, based on what through you, Mr. Chair, through what Steve Dewhurst had mentioned, was that was a special 8:30 a.m. meeting due to the cranberry harvesting season, so.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very rare for a committee in a town to meet before 7 p.m. It happens occasionally, but maybe 6 or 6:30, but usually everything's after 7 p.m.
Okay.
And that's things that you can work out internally on the committee,
Right.
with the scheduling and the convenience for the membership, So, but we appreciate your interest. Sounds like you have a lot to offer, and I think it'll be beneficial to the residents to have the more input, the better the site's going to be, and I think the more secure it'll be and more useful. So,
Okay.
we thank you, Phil. And we have a motion and a recommendation.
Motion and a
Second.
second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed?
Thank you.
It's unanimous. Just when you thought you were going to get out, we sucked you right back in. Okay. I want to ask Mrs. McGillicuddy, what do you have, Gene? You just need to appoint 4 people?
Yeah.
Can we move on to that, Rick, and just take care of that
Right,
real
you
quick?
can do it as one vote, you don't
One
have to
vote.
take them individually.
Would you like to come up, Gene? Just announce who you're putting on the elections. And I apologize to the RDA, but I mean, our business may take a few more minutes, so.
No, I just have 4 people who have requested and asked if they could be an election worker, so. 5, sorry. 5. I have 'em. Okay, 5 people who, when they come by, or if I see them at the polls or anything, sometimes people will ask if they can work the election. So we always take their name down. We don't like to refuse anybody, so we get them appointed if possible, so that, if we need them, especially in presidential elections, where we need some extra people, we have them on hand. So, and this is an opportunity right now for me to even say to the public that if anyone is interested in being an election worker, come and see me at the town clerk's office, and we'd be glad to get you on a list, and when needed, because we can always use all the extra people in times of people vacation, people getting sick, or whatever. It's always good to have a large group.
Excellent. You all set for the November election, Gene?
Just about, yeah,
Okay.
I would say so.
Looking good? Yeah. All right, so you want to nominate Judy Cabrera, Marilyn Carey, Linda Firmino, and Joan Mayette,
Make a
And-
motion, we,
and Sandra Tedford.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll make
Make a
that
motion.
motion.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All
Can I
those,
just ask one question? You have Democrat and Republican after them and unenrolled. Can you explain that?
Sure. Well, the D is that they're a registered Democrat. The
Mhm.
R is a registered Republican, and your unenrolled is the old
And do you have to
independent.
have
Now
a
they call
certain
it
number
unenrolled.
split between them?
Well, you should, but today, the way things are, we have a right now to use the unenrolled people.
Okay.
Not so much doing Ds and Rs as much as we used to, because today we have more unenrolled than we do in the parties.
All set, Chuck?
Yep.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you, Jane.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here tonight. Okay, how about the RDA? Wade Street and Oak Drive. The RDA has given the property back to the BOS.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Board of Selectmen. My name is William Sinclair. I'm the chairman of the Board of Redevelopment Authority. Joanna Lighton is one of our members, Bob Belbin, and Mr. Franny is one of our members. We have two parcels of property that this board went to the town and asked for. One is an Oak Street property, which is a single undeveloped parcel that we tried to develop, tried to sell it. We're under a purchase and sales at one point in time. The purchase and sales fell apart pretty much in the 11th hour, mostly for monetary issues, to be.
How big is that property? Well,
If I can remember back on that property, I think it was a little over.
it's like a postage stamp, though,
Yeah,
isn't it? Small.
it's located in the Crystal
Yeah. Is
Crystal
it
Lake area.
buildable? Is it a buildable lot?
Well, it was at the time that we had received it from the town.
Right.
I'll say that under the purchase and sales agreement that we had in place with a young couple that was gonna come to town, it was still a buildable lot. Since then, there's been some issues with the neighbors that has transpired that made it an unbuildable lot. That was after the purchase and sales fell apart. The property, we had offered it to some of the neighbors, that went by the wayside. It's an unbuildable lot right now. There's really not much that we can do with it. And under our MOU, it was very hard for us to make decisions of what to do with it. The board had voted unanimously to return it back to the Board of Selectmen, to the town. And we did that back in April, I believe it was. And I apologize for getting far off on that, but it's been a matter of time that we should have brought it to you sooner. And that was an oversight on my part. The other piece of property is the Wade Street property, very large parcel of property. Again, we were under a purchase and sales. When we went to the town, we had a interested party that wanted to build a single-family house on that lot. Very large piece of property. Everybody's pretty familiar with it. That went by the wayside because there was an awful lot of heavy lifting that needed to be done by the developer, which would have been for a single-family house. The lot is very tough to get to. It's was used as a stump dump, which a lot of people, that's public knowledge. We've talked about this for quite a long time. That went by the wayside, so we went out and advertised it. We got a purchase and sales agreement with the Makepeace Company that fell through. We had applied to the planning board to change the zoning in it. During the process of the planning board to do that, it came quite evident from the residents of that area. They didn't want nothing to happen with that lot. There was a lot of concern of what Makepeace might and might not do with that. At that time, the RDA had withdrawn without prejudice on doing anything with that through the planning board. At that time, the purchase and sales had expired with the Makepeace Company. That kind of went away. We've had a very hard time trying to come with some type of direction on this property. We established a new subcommittee through us. All of our properties that we do, we have subcommittees. We assign 2 people of our committee to give direction on that project and come back with advice and direction to the board. This became a very difficult site to deal with, difficult area to deal with. Couldn't come up with a consensus what to do with this. The board had voted to give it back to the town. And that's what we're in front of you today to do, is to follow through on our MOU. Follow through what the board's direction was, is to bring it back to you and to return it to the selectmen to be returned to the town.
Why don't we have a motion to perhaps accept the
Well,
property back?
they've already returned it to us.
They've already
given
returned?
us letters returning it to us. so-
Okay, so it's already back in our hands?
Yeah, and that's,
So we don't need to vote on that?
Yeah.
I don't know how that
No.
would have happened.
Do we need a vote on this, Rick, to accept the property back at the board level, or?
we got a letter dated April 11, 2012, and then another one dated October 17th. Did you see them, the letters?
I don't recall
in
them
your packet.
specifically, but I would say, Mr. Chairman, that it certainly doesn't hurt to vote to accept them back, just for formality.
Okay.
And that way, nobody has any doubt as to what the status of the
Where it
properties
is,
are.
that's correct.
I'll make that motion.
All right, we have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Do we have a second?
Sorry, Jack.
All right, now it's open for discussion.
Yeah, you know, Mr. Chairman, I asked that these be put on the agenda so that we could discuss them, what's going on with them, and in the next meeting or a meeting afterwards to have a public hearing, because the Oak Street property, Oak Drive property, I've had a neighbor approach me, and he would like to do something with it in the neighborhood, put like a little playground there, or even have like a little community garden. I told him Dick Ward might be interested in that when he's on the agricultural committee. And then the Wade Street property, there's still interest with the neighbors up there, what we would do with that. So I figured if we had a public hearing on the two of them, we could hear their testimony and what they'd like to see where the property is in their neighborhood. You know, down at South Carver, Buckman's Park, we worked as the redevelopment authority with a group of the neighbors down there, and we got money from the CPA, and we put a little playground in there. So I think this is property that's in their neighborhood, and we should try and work with them to do something with it.
I agree. Let's schedule it for a public hearing, invite the
There'd be
abutters.
two different public hearings, one for Oak Drive and one for Wade Street.
Dick, go ahead.
I don't disagree with that. I think that's a good idea, to find out what the public wants. I do want to say something about the Wade Street property. I think that we, the town, ought to sit on it. It's a very valuable piece of property, and I don't think right now we're going to get the value out of it. And whether somebody requests it to go to a park but there's a huge value in it for agriculture too. And so if the town sits on it, whatever taxes we are relinquishing because we're sitting on it are not gonna compare to the value that could have in 10 years.
And Dick, I don't think the taxes are that high on that parcel.
Well,
No.
if somebody bought it and put it under 61A, it would be very low.
But even now, I don't know if they're that
Yeah.
high. But I still think it would be beneficial for us to have a public hearing.
Yes,
Regardless
yes.
of what we do, just to hear the input.
But I mean, there are many things that it's a very high and dry piece of property. It's
6 acres,
It's
right?
got a lot, 6 acres, and it's got a lot of earth, gravel, sand, everything under it.
Well,
And I'm not saying that's the way we should go, because the neighbors, we want to see what the neighbors think too.
I think the neighbors are concerned with
Yeah.
the amount of gravel that's in there. But, I mean, let's have the public hearing. I don't want to
Yeah.
speak for them.
They're in the audience tonight, and unfortunately, because it's not a public hearing, we're not going to have a grand debate on this.
Well, I
but-
think if we did have the public hearing, there'd probably be a lot more neighbors.
Right, and give them an
At least you would hope
opportunity
there
to
would
come front and center and speak, so I agree. Sarah?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to ask if there's any way that the Selectman's office could actually notify all the neighbors in both of those
That's a good
immediate
idea.
neighborhoods.
I will talk to our Director of Planning, who is, we do have the capacity to identify,
think we-
map, identify, and notify them.
And I don't think it has to be certified, do you think? Just send a
No.
regular letter to them?
No, but I would just say, though, that, you know, there's no system that's perfect, so to the extent that neighbors get a notice, it might be good to talk to your neighbors, too, just
we
to
could
make
put
sure
that in
your
the
neighbor
letter.
has a notice, but,
Yep.
but we will coordinate some way to notify them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Bell.
As a member of the RDA, and I was on the subcommittee for this property, I just figured I want to let the selectmen here know of some of the things that we did do during the subcommittee. We looked at the property for the usages of it. The MOU stated for residential purposes only, all right, but the property is zoned as recreation. So there was an issue right off the bat with the MOU of what could and couldn't be done with the property. But with that said, the subcommittee looked at the residential issue of it, of what it could be done, the recreational issue with the property, solar and wind, the sand sale issue. We talked a little bit about that, and possible agriculture. We looked at problems with the property, and with that being said, the stumps that were being buried there, the direct butters said that there was an animal placed near it, that were dumping animals over there that had passed away, and they're burying them there. There was trash dumped out there, construction debris. During the building of the property, there was possible sewage dumped there. These were all brought up at our meetings, and it's my thought that I need to bring this up to the board to let them know that this was brought to our attention, and that you understand what's out there. Talking with the building inspector, if any type of building needed to be out there, would need a compaction test done on that property to see about stumps, how the soil is built there, and also if there was any dumping, soil testing done. And there's still construction debris. I walked that property all the way around it, and there is. That needs to be cleaned up. That could be taken care of through other means that doesn't take any money from the town. But with that being said, is we looked at different options, and I'll be happy to give you those options at a later date. But one of the first options that the subcommittee did take into account is to find a means to give it to the neighbors for the true intention, and that was the intention of that property, was to go back to the neighbors, the whole neighborhood. And that's what we were looking at. And that was the intent of the property, and I think we both still agree that it probably should go that way. But it's town property. We own it now, and I agree with Dick Ward that we should hold on to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baldwin. Any other comments or questions? We have a motion and a second to accept this back under our guidance, tutelage. Any further comments? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
I abstain.
I'm
Thank you,
sorry,
Mr.
it's not
Chairman.
unanimous. It's 401. Thank you very much for all your hard work on that.
Thank you.
It's never over till it's over, though, so. BDC, Spring Street analysis and possible rezoning. Mr. Jack Hunter. Thank you for your patience, Jack.
Lights,
I
camera,
gave you,
action.
I gave you guys a packet as well,
Yes, thank you.
and while this warms up, I can just give you a little background, especially for the newer members. About 4 years ago, the BDC started talking about the interchange of Spring Street and 44, especially with the advent of 44 opening, and anytime you have an interchange in a community, you want to look at possible advantages for economic development and jobs and growth. Mike, you might have even been on BDC when we started that, I'm not sure.
Not the Spring Street one, no.
Yeah.
No.
So, the first thing, I know we started looking at it a little bit, and we did ask the selectmen, I should back up a little bit. Most of the land that is at this intersection, the vacant land, is owned by the state, and they took it by eminent domain when they built 44, many, many years ago. So we thought there would be some reuse now that 44 is open, and so the selectmen wrote a letter to Mass Highway at the time and asked them if they had any plans for disbursement of that property, that we would like to help in planning the future of that property and who it goes to and what's it used for. We received a response fairly quickly from them at that time, 4 years ago, saying that they were going to hold on to the property for future use. Then about 2 years ago, I got a phone call from Mass Highway, from the right-of-way person, saying that they've rethought that and that they wanted to work with the town on master planning the area, and if we came up with an acceptable master plan that the town agreed upon, that they would partner with us to disperse it to the right people and hopefully, get the uses you want. So at that time, BDC started looking at it. They contracted using local technical assistance and some monies that BDC had in their budget with Serped, and Serped did a very good analysis, which I'm going to present the best I can. They do it much better than I do. We went through this analysis over and over again. We kicked it around. We had a public meeting and invited all the residents in the area. I think we had 5 residents there, all property owners, 3 that would have been affected directly with a zone change if that ever came to be, and 2 abutters. And then Helen actually came to BDC meeting, and I made this presentation. I think it was Helen said, you really should bring this to the Board of Selectmen. Because the next step, I think, would be, is if this is the direction you want to go in, the planning board hasn't seen this. I think we absolutely have to have another neighborhood meeting. We have to think about the rezoning, town meeting, and all the implications. But before we went there, we certainly wanted to bring this to you. So the first thing I had in your packet, and I didn't put this on a slide, this is from 1998, and eventually went into the 2000 master plan. And somebody, 14 years ago, 12 years ago, was thinking about this area, because you can see right in the top right-hand corner, they were looking for commercial development at the interchange, which wasn't even built yet. Now Steve showed me how to use this baby, so bear with me. So, turn it on. I'm gonna get this, just bear with me. All right, so here's Carver, this is 44, and the interchange is here. So I wonder if there's a way to blow this up a little bit. Probably is, but I don't know how to do it, so bear with me.
Mr. Chair, if I may, Jack, just up at the top, where you see it says something like 85.5% or 88,
Oh, make it 100.
right over there, yep. Or you can make it even bigger than that, yeah.
Is that better?
And you can slide it around.
Jack, just hit the plus sign.
Yeah, that's easy for you to say. That's good? All right, so, a lot of experts around here. They should be on the website committee, no. So here's another view, an aerial view of the interchange, Spring Street, High Street, and then you'll see this later on, but the state property is this is Old Spring Street here, and then all the state property is here, and then the McGrath property is here, and that's Solar Circle. And then the town line.
Is that part of the state property too?
No.
Okay.
Privately owned. Some of it. And then the Cisco property is here, and there's an absolute reason why Cisco's here, and that's because of this. Or maybe it's vice versa, I'm not sure. Just another blow up of the lower area of High Street. Yeah, I think there's a way to get rid of that bar, but. These are the parcels along Spring Street. You can see this is all state land here. These were at least lots and some former houses. This is state property here. This little one is, this is the McGrath property. And this is a Chave or Chav, can't remember how to pronounce that there. It's landlocked, obviously. Again, this is the lower part with High Street. This is a make-piece, what we call, boy, it's been a while. This is a make-piece. It's built completely, but not one house is on there. It's Elderberry Drive, I think it's called. It's been a while. This is the topography, and obviously you see, I see there's a big hill here, goes down to the lake, Ricketts Pond, and then some little knolls here and there. There is, and this is not in the photo, there is a road that was partially built as an access to the McGrath property, and that was part of a deal when the eminent domain was taken from the McGraths. Evidently, the McGraths owned all the way over, and when they took their property, they wanted to obtain access. And they're in some legal issue with the state now about that because it never got completed. And then that's the lower portion. It's really hard to see. I see that, but this is High Street. This is the Makepeace subdivision that's not built upon. This is the land use. Essentially, you can see the bogs in pink. The rare habitat is down here. The lake and some wetlands. This is a state wetlands designation, certainly not local. And then open water and that kind of stuff. And then this is the lower piece again, High Street, the subdivision. Actually, with this subdivision, the town received to the Conservation Commission a good swath of land here for open space. This is the land use plan as far as the assessor's code goes. Again, Commonwealth, all this green is Commonwealth land owned by Mass DOT now. Single-family residence, and then vacant land. These are technically vacant. This is an error. This should be vacant. There's no houses there.
Jack, how much land does the state own right there?
I think it's about 45 acres.
Okay.
And this is the lower part. This is, now these are the, is Ellen here? Ellen's not here. The specific assessor codes, is almost showing you the same thing. The only difference would be this pink, which she determines under Land Use Code 1310 as potentially developable land. Mass Department, Mass DOT, same thing. And then that's the lower section. These are the parcels, assessor parcels. I'll take that back, Jack. It's not that much. It's 15, about 23. And then you got to add up all these guys. So maybe it is about that much, about 30, 35, 40 acres.
Can I ask you one question? When Cisco built, how many acres did they build on?
When they looked at Carver, they needed 65 acres.
Okay.
I'm not sure what they got over there. I know that they can't expand anymore,
Mhm.
but I'm not sure.
If I remember correctly, it was 100 acres.
There you go. Then the highway right-of-way is the red, just to give context. Lower piece. And then this is the ownership. Again, the blue is the state. You see all these little parcels that were taken by eminent domain. And then this little sliver right here is the right-of-way access. And there's a 40-foot right-of-way that McGrath has and has partially built that kind of goes right along the contours to access their property. And then that's the lower piece. And then what they did an analysis on trying to find the highest and best use. And I'll be as brief as I can because I didn't do this. This is the physical suitability for development with the high here, the low here. And all he did was cull out the parcels of land use. And obviously, the existing houses aren't suitable. And then you get a subdivision that's not built in the middle, and then you got the vacant property here. This is receptiveness to change. In other words, who wouldn't mind seeing some zone changes here and some change of use? Obviously, the people that live there may not. the state and the existing subdivision, and then the 2-3 parcels that are vacant are there as well. We started kicking around land use, and we went through this quite a few times. And, you know, I know Buzz Artiano's no longer a member of the BDC, he's still a resident, and I did invite him because he really spearheaded and worked very closely with Serped to try to find the highest and best use. But we kind of zeroed in, and this is the state property here and the McGrath. We were looking at some kind of industrial park, office buildings, manufacturing, research and development facilities, and then right on Spring Street, the possibility of some very low commercial, maybe a gas station, convenience store, with the intersection with Cisco. And then to leave these parcels and these parcels alone and act as a buffer to the residents. And then that's the lower piece, which we didn't really deal with. Then we superimposed what that would look like. This is the access road that the McGraths built, partially, again. And then we just superimposed what an industrial park would look like there. And we superimposed, I know it's hard to see, it's hard for me now, what a gas station might look like in a small convenience store or a little plaza here. And then we did the same down here. As you see, we left all this as a buffer area, and this. There's actually a house here that's vacant. And how we did that is through the modern technology. This is an existing plaza. It's an office park, South Shore Industrial Park, and we just took that off and put it right on the map. Same thing with here. This is a service station, plucked it off and sized it and scaled it and put it on the map. And I know this is hard to see, but then we, and Buzz worked on this as well, and you'll see it in your package. We looked at the return on, rate of return that a developer would want, and all of this seems, and if I can scroll down, actually it might be the last page. The Town of Carver believes the vision outlined in this document, and when he says Town of Carver, he means BDC, will generate much-needed business activity and associated respect to the existing uses, neighborhoods, and environmental considerations surrounding the site. The plan's content is intended to outline Carver's vision for the area and to structure further discussions between Mass DOT, stakeholders, and town officials. It is the town's hope, again BDC's, hope that the proposals set forth in this document will effectively leverage private investment in the area to achieve an improved future that serves the interest of Carver. So I think, and Will's really the only, well, now we have Eric here. We have 2 BDC members. It's just to see what your input is, what your thoughts are. Do you want BDC to go to the next level, which I think would be the planning board and, another neighborhood meeting?
Well, obviously, we need to look at it. We need to explore all of our options. I will tell you that I did get some calls of concern. Yeah, from residents the last time this surfaced. So I think, an open hearing with all the residents invited, get their input. Let's see what they're willing to accept down there. I like the buffer zones and everything like that. Maybe it's something that won't even impact them at all,
Well, I think some of the theory is that most of the traffic's gonna hop right on the highway.
Right.
That's the Cisco theory,
Right.
and would be the theory here.
Yeah. So I don't know, I think it's something that we should explore, and I'm not sure if we have time left this year to get involved in something like that, but do you have a timeline on this?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Will Sinclair, the Vice Chairman of the BDC. We were looking at the next direction. We thought that it was time for us to bring it to you.
Okay.
And to kind of give everybody a better look at this. Also, with the residents now looking, we brought it to the selectmen. I think that it'd be essential to have another meeting with the neighborhood. Kind of show them a better, more detailed version of this, to show them exactly what we were thinking on, you know, the type of development, really explicit the buffering. The buffering was huge when we kept going back on that. There is some good potential on that one site that showed the little industrial park there, and the type of R&D that we might get from the spin-off from Cisco. I've been saying this since the day that we lost Cisco, that Cisco brings a lot with them. Any large developer does, like Home Depot, Walmart, stuff like that. You always get a spin-off, and it's a good opportunity for us to try to lure that to town. So I think it's a good step for us to bring it forward and keep going with it.
The only reason why I mentioned maybe kicking it off the new year with something like this, because we got a pretty full plate trying to get the special town meeting and everything else between now and the end of the year, so I mean, yeah. Okay, and I was thinking perhaps even out in the spring somewhere, so. But I think it's an excellent idea. You know, I certainly take a motion and a second from the board to open it up for discussion and get everybody involved here, so.
Make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, so now it's now open for discussion. Would somebody like to kick it off, or, go ahead, Dick.
Sure. I had occasion to go up there because I'm on the earth removal committee. And when the McGraths were putting that access road or working on it, I got to look at the site. And what jumped out at me was when you come out of that access road, there is a natural hill on the opposite side that is a buffer to the homes which are up on the other side of the hill. And it's a very simple move to take a right on Spring Street, right to 44. I would think the traffic there would be very little problem to the neighbors, but I would want to hear from the neighbors. And I think that pond could, if you had a little business site, could become, the emphasis could be on the beauty of the wetlands in the pond right there as part of a little industrial development. I think could be a nice thing for the town. But I do want to hear from the people.
And where would we have a hearing here in front of the Board of Selectmen? Or would it be the BDC runs it? I mean, how did you run it
wondering if that
before?
would be more suitable to selectmen or the planning board.
Or
would
maybe a
probably-
joint, I mean, a planning board would ultimately, the planning board has not seen this. We'll maybe have updated them, but they have not seen this yet. The last hearing or last meeting we had, we did notify everyone, not by registered mail, but just by mail. And we did have 2 residents, I believe they lived in these 2 houses here. And then we had the property owner, Mrs. McGrath, and the Chavez family. And I think somebody from over here. There were 5 people. I don't remember the last person. And of course, these guys kind of liked it, but these guys were concerned about traffic. But they did like that buffer.
Excellent. Helen, you got something?
Just through you, just a quick question. Can you give a little bit more of a elaborate you can tell it's 9:30, I can't talk anymore. You mentioned the access road, that it was, of the McGrath property, that it was having a problem right
Now,
now?
I'm going to let Mr. Ward finish this, but I'll start it because I'm not really, he may know more than I do. I don't have the right map up there. Let me see if I can find it. Bear with me. Oh, you're right here. This little right-of-way, they wanted to access their property. They were given an easement by the state when the state took their property. They wanted to exercise it, and they hired somebody. They went to earth removal. They started construction, and then they got in trouble with the state, and that's as far as I know.
It's a sizable hill with a sizable amount of sand and gravel. And they exceeded what they came before the earth removal committee to remove, to make it the proper grade. And the state disagreed strongly, and they're the ones that really along with the earth removal committee, put a stop on it.
They didn't build it right.
Gotcha.
And
They
nothing's happened
abused the
since.
situation.
Thank you.
I don't mean, I shouldn't say Mrs. McGrath. It was the person that was doing it for her. Yeah.
Is that gonna pose a problem to development, though, with a right-of-way right through the,
Well, we were gonna use it.
okay?
We were hoping that the map I showed with the access road, I'll probably never find it. Oh, there it is. We were following that. And then obviously she could use it for whatever. We did, many versions of this had the McGrath property on there with a potential rezoning.
Yeah.
But then the BDC just, maybe it was at Helen, when the meeting was Helen, I can't remember which one, they decided, let's just deal with the state. We're not gonna deal with someone else's property. If they wanna come and entertain that, they can, but they haven't. So we took that off. This was a much grander plan in the beginning.
Jack, if they're gonna prepare the site for development in Dick too, will there be a lot of gravel taken out of there?
I'm gonna let Dick decide that one. I don't know enough about it.
I'm not much on a planner on that, Jack. It's a sizable elevation.
Right here, the
And,
side of that road is
On
pretty
the,
steep.
if
Then
you're
it's
looking,
flat,
it's where the Serpent has superimposed those buildings, that's pretty high.
Yep.
And if you look at the topography map, you'll see the lines are really close together from the pond over. That
about
means
right
that you
here.
got a 10-foot gradation on that, and I bet there's 5 of them, so that must mean like 50
50 feet, yeah.
50 feet or something. Wait a minute till he gets to
I'm
it.
trying to find, there it is.
Yeah.
Well, next one.
Yeah, see the pond? Now see the left side of the pond, all those lines close?
That
That's a-
road kinda went like
That's a
right
10-foot but it can be, I'm sure landscaping and everything, they'd figure. Plus, Mrs. McGrath's land, I know we looked and we saw it and we said, wow, that might be a spot where there'd be a fairly good-sized big box place, like a parcel post distributing building
Yep.
or something
We
like
did look
that.
at all that, yeah.
Yeah. So there are possibilities of business up in that area.
And, our vision was never, the town's role would be to partner with a private developer, not to buy it or anything, so. I think if there is earth removal associated with construction, that's a good thing. Earth removal without, we've learned the hard way, is not a good thing. In my opinion.
If I may, Mr. Chair, what we did learn by watching what transpired with Cisco was the parcel that Cisco went to in Plimpton was already permitted, was already rezoned. The infrastructure was 90% on it. They were ready. When we looked at Whitworth, we still had some stuff that we had to do there, but we still entertained them. We wanted them to come there. When we're looking at this parcel here, when Jack was saying we don't want to get it and build it ourselves, we want to get it all permitted correctly, get it ready, make it enticing, start advertising it. We've also discussed maybe going to make it a diff area, so that way it gets on that market value through the state of property that's available. It becomes very enticing that way.
Well, what I would recommend then is when you get a chance to look at your calendars and do your scheduling, work up some kind of a timeline. If you think the spring is an appropriate time to delve into this, then, let us know, because we certainly need to involve ourselves in this too. Well, as I mentioned, I already had calls.
You're gonna stretch me so thin that I'm not going to need Weight Watchers anymore. I see you.
We did try to
I'm
entice
working.
Selectmen.
It will happen, but once, I know. You miss me, don't you?
Any other questions from the board? Any other comments from,
No, I am gonna, I'll talk to the chair of the planning board, but we probably should bring this to the planning board.
Sure.
Since
Yeah.
we haven't done it yet.
well, do we need ZBA and everybody else? I mean, do we?
I don't think we need ZBA, certainly maybe the Conservation Commission we
Conservation,
could bring
yeah.
it to.
Would you need,
Just an informal little dog and pony show.
you
like
need
we
earth
did.
removal too?
Maybe earth removal might be.
Well,
an
if you're
option.
gonna remove earth,
Yeah.
but you're not gonna do that until you're a ways down the road.
And we hope
But
it's not
still-
because of construction.
That's right.
And we're familiar with it already, Jack.
Yeah, that might be good. Just set the table, timeline on it, and we certainly will be happy to get involved and help in any way we can. So,
All I asked.
thank you very much.
Thanks, Jack.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Alright.
Mr. Hunter. Thank you,
Good
Mr.
job.
Sinclair.
Good job. Next up is a one-day special license request, bartending service of New England at the Sportsman's Club on October 26, 2012. Pretty standard.
Make a motion, we approve.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And I'm going to abstain as a member. Yes, sir.
Put an objection, point of order. Reinstituted an old objection I put in for Mr. Ward voting on the sportsman club issue because he's a light number. Record.
Rod, why don't you
I've done that complaint.
put it in writing, submit it to the board?
Put it to the ethics commission already.
Okay.
But this is another complaint again.
Okay, thank you.
Same issue. He's a member and he shouldn't be voting.
All right. Next up, Charter Committee and possible town meeting article. Jack, I think you said you were
Mr.
going
M- I almost said Mr. Moderator, Mr. Chairman. I had a discussion with Rick about this, and he feels it will be more appropriate for an annual town meeting. There's a lot involved in this, so I'm gonna withdraw it.
Okay.
Again, with the permission of the committee.
Thank you. Next up is possible appointment of tax collector as tax title custodian for Scrubbitt Car Wash. We addressed this at the last meeting. The issue we had was that it wasn't specific enough, so we thought it might be an open meeting violation or lend itself to be an open meeting violation. So we rescheduled it for tonight under the specific title of what was actually being done. There seemed to be no other issues or problems last time, but I'll take a motion in a second to.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. It's now open for discussion. Is there any further discussion by the board on this issue? Mr.
If
Lafont.
I could just point out that there is a motion, a rather lengthy motion drafted by Tax Title Council pursuant to this, and I would hope that you could probably adopt that without having to read the whole motion, that's all, if it's a whole
Is
page.
this the motion to appoint him?
Yes.
So would you say as written?
As drafted by
Or as drafted.
council, I would hope would be sufficient.
And it is essentially the appointment letter that we have here, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
In references just to one lot that is
Map
subject.
18, lot 2-1.
Right.
Okay. I'll leave that to my colleagues. Has everybody had an opportunity to review this? Satisfied with it?
Perfect.
No questions, no comments, no complaints? Hearing none? The only thing I want to say is that this is an attempt by all of us to work together with Scrubbitt, keep that a viable business. We certainly want you to be successful. And we know it's not easy in these difficult times. So please keep your nose to the grindstones and let's see if we can't make this work, all right? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I abstain.
Abstention?
I abstain.
401? Motion passes. Thank you, folks, for your patience tonight. I know it's been a long night for you, too. Okay, approval of the minutes of September 11th and 25th, and the pleasure of the board, together or separately?
Separate.
Separate.
Make the
So be it.
motion, we accept the minutes for September 11th.
Motion's been made
Second.
and seconded, September 11th. Are there questions, issues, comments, recommendations for changes on the 11th?
Okay, good. Thank you.
I'm hearing nothing on September 11th, so we can move that forward. All those in favor of approving the minutes for September 11th, please say aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed? Any abstentions? It's unanimous. Thank you. All right, the minutes for September 25th, 2012. This must be the one that has some recommendations for change. Do I have a motion to approve in a second?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
I'll
Second.
second it.
Okay. Having a motion and a second, it's now open for discussion. Somebody, Jack, your hand's up. Go ahead.
On page 2, on the building commissioner position, the amount, the wording in the parentheses, the handout did not include the number of inspections, and I had the handout, and I did have the number of inspections on it, so.
Okay, so you just
I wanna
want,
change that.
you want that parenthetical
Yep.
phrase to be eliminated.
So,
Gene, is it all set, hon? Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
I'm sorry, but I'd actually like to look into that and check that with the building department.
that was in the town reports.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. I just, I'd like to
No, that's fine.
look at that, if that's okay.
Are we,
Oh, right, right.
are we contesting the number of inspections, or are we contesting the fact that the inspections weren't listed?
No, the handout listed the number of permits.
That's what I thought.
Didn't list the number of inspections.
Inspections for the year.
No, it was
Top line.
permits. Those are permits issued.
Well, that's what he had in the,
That's how we had it
I'm
labeled?
just saying, I thought the handout and we'll have to double check the handout.
no, yeah, that's fine. I
That's
don't
all.
mind.
All right, well, what we can do is we can table this set of minutes until
Yeah,
next meeting,
no big deal, yeah.
and then we can
And I'll
verify.
run over it with you if you want, Rick.
Yeah, that's fine. yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
Do I have a
Move we table the minutes of September 25th.
Second.
motion and a second? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 It's unanimous, Jane.
Thank you.
All right, citizens' participation. Don't everybody jump at once.
God bless you.
Please identify yourself, name, address, and reason for participating.
Good evening. My name is John Ranella. I live at 245 Meadow Street. For the sake of for time, especially at this hour, I have a prepared statement that I would like to read. Mr. Bruce Kaiser has been a volunteer and an elected official in the town of Carver for 20 years. I couldn't believe what I heard on TV last week when I tuned in to the Selectmen meeting of October 16th. I have never heard a town resident treated with such disrespect by the Board of Selectmen. It was,
Citizens' participation, keep it clean.
I will. It was obvious that Mr. Kaiser was blindsided by the chairman of Mr. O'Donnell and Mrs. Maroney. Mr. O'Donnell acted with no respect towards Mr. Kaiser, and Mrs. Maroney quoted from a letter she had received from a member of Mr. Kaiser's committee. I found it interesting that the author of the letter, Peter Allegrini, wasn't mentioned, although Mrs. Maroney did state that he was not able to be at the meeting. The author's name was mentioned in the newspaper article reporting this issue.
Excuse me, through you, Mr. Chair, that is incorrect. I didn't mention his name, and I did not mention that he was unavailable to attend the meeting, just for clarification.
You didn't mention his name. That's what I said.
I did not mention his name.
Right.
And I did not say that he was unable to attend the meeting.
Then
Just a point of clarification.
Then I apologize for the second
That's
portion
okay.
of that.
That's okay.
I'm sorry, where did I live? The author's name was mentioned in the newspaper article reporting this issue. If Peter Allegrini wasn't able to be there, the letter should not have been mentioned. Mr. Kaiser did not have the opportunity to respond to Peter Allegrini's relative to his complaints stated in the letter. I also found it ironic that the actual agenda item was an update of the audit committee, which was not even discussed. Based on the way Mr. Kaiser was treated, why would any resident subject themselves to such treatment by volunteering on any town committee? As the disbanding of the committee, I question whether that was even legal, as it was not included in the agenda item. If possible disbanding, the committee was included in the agenda, other members of the committee would have had the option to be there to defend their committee. It was obvious to me that the disbanding the audit committee had been decided before the selectmen even started their meeting. The entire issue smelled of politics, due in large part of the job of the audit committee involved looking at the performance of a member of the Board of Selectmen. If nothing else comes of this statement, at the least, Mr. Kaiser is owed an apology by the Board of Selectmen. In conclusion, I want it to be known to the Board of Selectmen that Mr. Kaiser is not aware of me making this statement tonight, nor is he aware of me presenting it here for the record. If I can just elaborate just a little bit on this.
Mr. Anello, we need to speed it up. We give approximately 3 minutes to people, okay?
Okay. I've been active in this town for 32 years. I've been a chairman on committees. I've been members of committees. And if I was ever treated this way in front of the Board of Selectmen, there's no way I would do or work on these committees. I just think it could have been handled a lot differently than it was. I do understand that there were some issues that you were justified in bringing up, but I think those issues could have been handled without disbanding and throwing away 9 months of work on the members of this committee. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Ranella. Mr. Belbin?
I brought to you, for the people to know, I brought a copy of the Selectmen's own agenda policy. This comment here was not on the agenda to be discussed at all, which I actually was reprimanded by the same thing once. But I have to say, I have received emails that were transpired between the different parties, and I have to say that I did not like what was stated between either party, but mostly I have to say Mr. Kaiser. But no matter what, all right, I don't think that he knew, Mr. Ranella knows the inner workings of what happened and what transpired and the emails back and forth and the whole reason for it. So I just want to let that be known, that you need to have all the information before you start saying stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Belbin, and you're absolutely right that, but expecting what was forthcoming and it was being directed at me, I didn't have a problem with it, made an exception to the policy, but that's okay. Okay, any other citizens' participation? Mr. Sinclair.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much for listening to me. Just hearing what's transpired, and I apologize I wasn't at your meeting until late last time that you had when you did disband the audit committee. I was wondering if you might put it on your agenda at a future meeting when you guys could, to find out if there's any more direction that's going to be taken on either reigniting that committee with better direction and better end goals,
Absolutely, I think
should
that's
say.
how we left it at the last
Right.
meeting, and
I apologize if it was a
No.
No,
no, Mr. LaFond is gonna do some research because there's some confusion as to whether some of the town positions are eligible to participate in multiple boards and
Perfect.
committees. There was a number of issues. He was doing some research. It will be on a future agenda.
Beautiful.
And,
I appreciate you hearing me. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Padavani?
Dawn Pedavani, 82 Rochester Road. I think it was well in the purview of the board to do what they did with the audit committee. I remember there was a legal services committee that spent 2 years working very diligently on an RFP for new legal services, and they were also disbanded for no reason. So I just want to state that.
Thank you, Ms. Padavani. Oh, I'm
Through
sorry.
you, Mr. Chair, just for point of clarification, the audit committee was not disbanded for no reason.
Right.
It was, okay, just to
Yeah,
make,
but I'm saying the other one was. There was no reason
There
to.
there were multiple reasons enough,
Right.
and I will take full blame for maybe not explaining that.
Mhm.
However, it was a difficult enough situation without having to, just
No,
make it any
I'm
more
saying,
difficult
I
than it was.
realized there were reasons why they were disbanded, but there have been other.
This is the
commi-
benefit for the
Mhm.
audience hearing at home, so.
Thank you.
thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I
Yes,
may,
ma'am.
I just a little point of clarification there. The Legal Services Committee was actually disbanded because they had completed their job, what the board had charged them to do. That's my understanding.
Okay. Any other citizens' participation? Ms. McGillicuddy, Mrs. McGillicuddy.
Whatever. I would just like to say that I think you all do a good job and everyone does the best they can around here. But what we saw was something that a lot of people didn't like. And I would hope in the future that maybe because people did not know what was going on, it looked like someone made an error, and that's what happens to them. And it looked like if I was out there watching that, I would think, I'm not going to join a committee if, God help me, I make a little mistake and I'm going to have to be put on TV like that. I would find it a little bit humiliating, and I think that there was a lot of confusion going on because people did not know what was going on with this, and it didn't look good. And I just hope in the future that something like this will never take place again.
I hope it never happens again either, or needs to happen again, okay? But I will point out, how many people did we have sign up for committees tonight? How many did we swear in?
4, 5?
4.
4 or 5.
So,
But I mean, I just think that people do volunteer,
right.
and they do a good job.
Right.
They do the best they can. And it just looked like that there was an error, it was an oversight or whatever.
Again, what I'm going to say to you, and I'll say to everybody at home, you know, is I will apologize if it came across a little bit harsh, okay? But there was a lot of things going on, a lot of things contributed to that, and
Well, don't you think that where we had the committee tonight, the website committee, it might have been nice if the rest of the committee was here? I don't think
they
Mr.
had that
Kaiser knew
they had
what
that
was
option.
even going on.
They had that option. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chair, just very briefly, Jean, my biggest concern with that whole committee, swearing in may not sound important when you're just hearing, oh, well, they just didn't get sworn in. I have reviewed our attorney's fees over the past 5 to 10 years regarding open meeting law complaints. We would have, I can guarantee you, a myriad of future complaints because technically those meetings wouldn't have been done properly and we possibly could have been in a lot of trouble.
And I understand what you're saying, and I don't have a problem with people, they should be sworn in.
Yeah.
But when there's an oversight, and there has been many of them,
Right.
that people have been sworn in later on when they were informed that they did not get sworn in. And it just looked like having it in public like this, I mean, he's
That
just not
wasn't the
only
only issue, Gene.
All right.
Right, I'm just saying what it looked like to
Chairman.
everyone out there.
Yes, Jack.
You know, I attended, after they didn't get sworn in, I attended a meeting, and Mike asked me to, relay to him, to the whole committee, that they come before us because of not being sworn in. And in one of those emails, I was referred to as Mike O'Donnell's errand boy. I'm nobody's errand boy. I work hard in this town, I'm elected to a lot of positions, I work on a lot of things. That's just one small piece of what went on behind the scenes.
Well,
I
I'm
have a
sure,
lot of
I don't
respect for
disagree
Eric.
that things did not go on behind the scene. I'm just saying, I think
Yeah.
we have to be a little more professional in the way that it looked to the
Exactly.
public.
But
Who didn't know anything
Yep.
about what was behind the scene, because you're gonna hurt.
just
the-
like
the-
what happened here tonight, it's on both sides, you know?
But I mean, if you want people to volunteer and you wanna have committees,
Absolutely.
that wasn't a way of showing something like that.
Thank you.
I just want to speak about citizen participation. I don't think we should be debating the person
Right.
that
Right.
presents
No.
something. So I don't think that this, I think we ought to let this person speak their piece. And if we want to mention something about it in Selectmen's notes,
Agreed.
maybe. But I don't think we should be putting Gene on the hot seat on this.
No, I'm not putting
Oh,
Gene
no,
on the
not
hot
at
seat.
No,
all.
I don't feel like I'm on the hot
Yeah.
seat.
Not
I
at
think
all.
this communication, maybe this is a good thing.
Oh.
Maybe we'll learn from something, but I'm just saying the public didn't know whatever you're talking about behind the scenes. And to the public, it didn't look good at all. And in all the years I have been here, I've never seen anything like that. I've never seen that. And I don't want to see it again.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just say, somewhat related, but, and this is to Helen's point, that yes, we do get complaints about whether they be open
Different
meeting
things.
laws, and just because people make complaints doesn't mean that those complaints are warranted, but we still do have to defend those. So I would just say, just because people make allegations doesn't mean that they're necessarily some fault on the part of the Board of Selectmen. And,
Oh, true.
I just want to make that clear, so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks, Jane.
for the feedback.
Town administrator notes.
I'm going to try to make this quick, Mr. Chairman. First, I want to point out that Gene had asked me to mention that Mammut is looking to, again, move another, go ahead, Gene. You're better than me at this.
We're moving another transformer. I heard from Vancouver yesterday. It'll be happening on December 3rd at 9 p.m. I'm sorry. They're moving it from Carver. It'll be transported to Cottage Park, then transported by barge to Sandwich because they can't go over the bridges with it. This is the old transformer that used to service Carver. And that will be going down to Sandwich to enhance their power down there. So I've already sent all the information on the traffic plan, so forth and so on, to all the public safety departments and the DPW. I'll be setting up a meeting with Earl Lateral with all the proper personnel. They'll go over with all their concerns. The last two moves have been very, very smooth. I think everyone can see that they're a very professional company and they've done well, Mammut. I will keep you informed.
And,
They
oh,
have-
sorry. And very quickly, next Monday night, there is a meeting at the library, Route 58, a public hearing regarding the 58 projects. So don't forget that if you're interested or if the public's interested. We do have one more applicant for website committee, but the reason it wasn't on the agenda is because it didn't come in till over the weekend on my email, so really Monday. So when I did explain to the applicant that it would be on the next agenda, and she understood why, so. Just with regard to a building commissioner, just so people are aware, I have been in contact and have had inquiries with both the Serpent and the county and there is, they are helping me see what interest exists in terms of some sort of regional approach to a building commissioner. I don't want to be out advertising for a permanent part-time building commissioner until these things are exhausted, so it's, right now, we're limping along, but as things may develop, I'll obviously keep you informed. And last thing, as you know, last meeting, after last meetings, I did put the minutes from the prior executive session in your folder, so if you could, again, if you haven't had a chance to look at them, if you could do so, get back to me with any changes you might request, so that the next time we do have an executive session, we can hopefully accept those and make sure we put them in the book. And that's it.
Thank you. Selectmen's notes. Anybody like to start it off? Jack?
We have 2 open meeting law complaints. I met with Rick, and I think we should put it on the next agenda so the selectmen can discuss it as a board. And I asked Rick, being the vice chairman, you weren't around, Mike, so if he could send a letter to the complainant, just letting them know that we're gonna put it off until the next meeting. You remember that, Rick? You look like you're perplexed by it.
Well, I think, if the board has a discussion, it's among the board members. The interaction with regard to the time frame would be to the district, the Attorney General, so.
Oh, okay. Whatever the
Right.
procedure is, just so we're not in
Right,
violation.
right. I agree.
of it, because it's like 14 days or something.
Rick is
Came
gonna,
in yesterday.
Rick is gonna write a response,
Yeah, because
see if that's
Well,
satisfying.
this is, I think you're referring to the one that came in several months ago, or a month ago or so
No,
from, what are
I'm
we?
talking about the 2 that came in yesterday.
Oh, yeah, those, I'm
Those 2 that
sorry.
came in, we don't have enough time to put them on the
You
agenda,
have
so.
a few hanging out there.
yeah.
Yeah,
Those, I'm sorry, Mr.
Yeah.
Mr. Franny, I misunderstood which issue you were speaking of.
I know
so
it's not on the agenda, so I didn't want to violate the open meeting
That-
law.
We
I
will
don't think
deal
we-
with those, yes.
I don't think we need an attorney to respond to the,
Well, why don't we discuss it at the
yeah,
next
we'll
meeting?
discuss it at the next
I-
meeting, because it's open.
Yeah. Second quarter taxes are due November 1st. It's on a Thursday. Just want to remind the general public. I'd like to put on the next agenda, the potentially have a policy on having people get sworn into office that would be from us for the people that we appoint or the people that you appoint, Rick, just so that we can put something together and ensure that we don't run into this situation again with people not being sworn in. I want to remind people to vote on November 6th for the candidate of your choice. And do we have any problems with the November agenda? As as far as days or anything being close to the Thanksgiving or anything like that?
November 13th. I think
13th
that's
and
early.
27th.
November 13th?
November 13th would be the next.
Right, 13th, and the next
27th?
one is the week after Thanksgiving, so
Yeah.
unless there's travel issues with members of the board, for quorum purposes, we should be
Yeah.
okay. So if that does become an issue, if you could let us know in the office, and if we have quorum issues, we'll have to work around it. Find
I will
another-
not be available on the 27th. I can't obviously speak for the rest of my colleagues, so I don't know if that's going to create a quorum issue or not. with others, but-
I'm here.
So after Thanksgiving?
Yeah, the one after Thanksgiving.
Well, look at your calendars and let us know, that's all.
There's
Again,
still some time
we
for
still have a meeting in between, too, so,
Yeah.
The 13th is definitely.
yes. we are-
If it could make the 27th, we might be able to push it off till the next Tuesday.
Is that close to town meeting? December
Oh, yeah,
6th?
town meeting is,
Again,
Town meeting's the
December
6th, but
Yeah.
coordinate that.
I don't know, maybe we could do a meeting on the 4th, combine the 27th and the 11th, take care of two meetings at once prior to town meeting.
We
Say
could,
that 3
Some
times
food for thought.
fast.
Yes,
we could just-
3 times
we could
fast.
just
yeah.
see a town meeting, that would be,
I can hardly think right now, are you kidding me? But maybe take a look at something like that if you want to do that. It's going to be a busy holiday season and everything, it eliminates one meeting, allows us to combine two.
Are you talking that that would be in place of the second meeting
In place of the
December, too?
27th, right.
I'm saying in December, when you were talking about the 4th, because you meet the second.
Right, and the 11th.
It's late.
Combine the December 11th and the
Right.
November 27th
Okay,
meetings.
I see what you're talking.
Just something to think about between now and next meeting, if anybody's interested in doing that.
And then that would be in preparation for
Liking
the town
that.
meeting.
Town meeting, right.
Yeah.
You liking that?
I'm liking that.
Okay. All right, Jack. You
I'm
still-
all set.
You're all set? Sarah?
Thank you. I just briefly just want to remind people that next Sunday is the last day of the farmer's market for this year. It is a really, really nice market, and we're supporting local businesses and local food. And I also wanted to remind people to vote on November 6th. Thank you.
You're welcome. Dick?
I too would like to remind everybody to vote November 6th. Yep, if you get a chance to stop at our last farmer's market of the season, please do so. If you have the ability, hopefully you'll donate food to the food pantry, which can be delivered to the Council on Aging or the library. I was reading through the discriminatory harassment policy for us that we all have to sign and read. And I was thinking about our treatment of folks, for whatever reason, citizen participation or people on committees and commissions. And I saw the sentence in the harassment policy for employees, but I thought it would be it's a good guideline for us, for folks that come before us. The town in Carver will not tolerate harassing conduct that affects employees, which might be people participating in our meeting, conditions that interfere unreasonably with an individual's performance if they need to speak, and not feel intimidated. And so that's kind of a reminder that we kind of need to be respectful of the citizens of our town anywhere we can. And I know there's going to be conflicts that cause some, but everywhere we can, be respectful. That's it for me.
Helen?
Thank you. I well, I don't know if you remember, because the selectmen meetings are so exciting, so I'm not sure if you remember that I was asked to work on the idea of possibly consolidating some departments and gather some information and bring it back to all of you. I just want you to know that this past Saturday, I attended I'm not good with acronyms, it was the Association for the Finance Committee meeting. Jack
Association
Franny-
of Town Finance
Thank you.
Committees.
Jack Franny also attended, but I attended a couple of sessions on consolidation So it was extremely valuable to me, and know that we're on the right path. Because there are several towns that are talking about it and have implemented it. So, and from our town, I have already been meeting with the department heads, as soon as I was elected, but now I'm making a concerted effort to get to every single person in a more timely fashion. So I've already met with the Board of Health, scheduled with the library, Carol Julius. Tom Walsh has called, and I'll be scheduling an appointment with him, and I'm waiting to hear back from Ellen Blanchard to schedule an appointment with the assessor's office. So I'll be approaching all of the department heads in the near future to sit down and chat about their departments, and Rick is also providing me job descriptions for all the department heads, so we can work through that, and then I'll be meeting with Rick again to continue on our path. So, and I really am glad that we instituted citizens' participation, because I think it was really nice to be able to hear people's comments, feedbacks. Everything is a learning process, and it's good to be able to get what you're feeling out, and I know that that was a hindrance in the past for the residents and anybody else who wanted to speak up about issues. So, and have a good night, and I can't wait for November 6th. I love this time of year. So get out and vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen. Couple of items. First one up is the Jingle Bell Fair. Our Lady of Lourdes Parish, I announced this last meeting also. Friday, November 2nd, 4 to 8 p.m., and Saturday, November 3rd, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. The big raffle, Chinese raffle, giant menu of prizes to pick from, the magical Christmas tree, Santa, baked goods, white elephant, hand knits table, snack bar and kitchen. Crafters welcome, I guess it's $50 a table with limited space. Call the parish office, 866-4000. So go out and have a good time, and maybe pick up some items that you don't need and add that to your garage and your attic like my wife does, and then yell at me we need to clean everything out. So another announcement, Veterans Day breakfast will be celebrated on Saturday, November 10th at the Council on Aging, and that'll be hosted by the American Legion and our Veterans agent, Kenny Morrison. I think the Scouts are involved. The National Guard's involved, and that's both Cub, Boy, and Girl Scouts, I believe. It's a free breakfast for your veterans. It's an opportunity to come out, spend some time with them, recognize them for their service, the sacrifices that they made. So please feel free to come on out. It's also the 237th birthday of the United States Marine Corps. I want to give a shout out to all my fellow Marines, Semper Fi. The last thing I want to remind everybody is please keep all of our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Coast Guard, and Marines in your thoughts and prayers during this difficult times that we live in, and let's bring them all home safe. God bless you, God bless Carver, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you and good night. I will accept the motion.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for adjournment. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?